Hey, y'all. We're going to give it a minute and get everything prepped. So we're here and ready to go. Let me share this over there. Today is a wild day. I tell you what. How is everybody doing? Hey, Elle. Let me share this over to Facebook right quick. I was just watching something and some people just need slapped, I swear. Let me share this. Hey, y'all coming in. We've got a few before it starts. So we're just here to kind of go over what's going on. So there's a lot of information floating around out there right now. A lot. And there's a press conference coming about the Idaho 4 murders, the 4 that were murdered in Idaho, at the University of Idaho, off campus. And hopefully the news is breaking all over that there's a suspect in custody or person of interest in custody. So check your what? Anya? Check your what? Oh, community post. Good, Dunya. Okay, I got it. I figured it out what you were talking about. Let me go back up here and say hi to everybody right quick. Hey, Lisa, Elle, Marcy, Rebecca, Mokus, Trisha, Anya, Lucy, Hope, Real Angel, Sharkbait, Trisha, Spinny Cindy, Welsh, Sparkling Pink Uniform, or Unicorn. Yes, Sparkling. It just happened this morning. It looks like it just happened this morning. There's been no confirmation yet from law enforcement. That's what's coming in 15, 12 minutes is what we're supposed to see, is an update. So let's hope. I'm gonna pull this though right quick. Let me see. Is this the one? WFLA is live right now. So I'm gonna pan over there. I will get hit. Like I said, I don't care. But we're gonna pull that up and watch from there. There's a lot of information being put out on Reddit, like a ton of information. There's a lot of different speculation, like he's related to people or his family has connections. Nothing's been confirmed yet 100%. So hopefully there's some confirmation and clarification with law enforcement that's coming in this news conference. Let's go here. I'm going to take me off the screen for this because my camera's not on anyways. He's being extradited to Idaho to face first-degree murder charges. His DNA was found at the scene. And Pullman, I don't know if you guys remember me talking about the 2 college campuses that are like 9 miles apart. If you remember me talking about how like it wasn't just impacting one college campus. Well, according to what we know so far, what's being released in news outlets is that he was a PhD candidate at the Criminal Justice Department in Pullman, which is WSU, which is 8.4 miles away from where the girls and Ethan were unfortunately killed. And I can't wait to see all the apologies from these true crime YouTubers of all the people that they've put out there and their information and accused them of horrible things. I will patiently wait for all of those to happen. But anyways, yes, remember live chat. Yeah, the credible news channels are saying a lot, but I have to sit back also and say, thank goodness for law enforcement. I mean, we're still to find out a lot. We don't know anything really yet, but law enforcement has done a spectacular job of keeping things close to the vest. And I really hope that they continue to do so because, as we've seen, social media is insane. And there's another theory I have too. In my opinion, so far from what we've seen, I have a feeling this is going to be a really horrible situation. And if if what I'm seeing said so far has any weight to it, I think he's going to be playing games and unfortunately dragging the families through a whole lot of shit because he seems to kind of, I don't know, in my opinion, the person that they're claiming has been arrested kind of has some interesting tendencies. And I hate to say it, but yeah, test B, right? I hope there's more of them. I hope there's more of them that get this. I hate to say that, but let's go over here to WFLA and see what they're saying, okay? I'll shut up because, again, there's nothing really confirmed yet. We're waiting on law enforcement.
That's not, people are asking why is that, and I don't find that to be too far out of the ordinary, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, but it's just about getting an initial charge in the system just so that you get this person off of the streets, allow the investigation to continue to the point where they can be more thorough with the filing of charges. But do you have anything to say here for Levi in our comment section?
Levi, the reason is all they have to show at this stage is probable cause that he committed a crime. And the crime they chose was a homicide against probably one of the particular individuals, because to take the time involved to do a probable cause affidavit with all the information that they have regarding all these four individuals would have been quite extensive. So in a probable cause affidavit, I don't want to say it's bare bones, but it's really just what's needed to prove probable cause.
Let's get this question on screen from Carmen. Hello there, Carmen. Again, use hashtag HeyJennifer or hashtag HeyJB, and we can animate your comments on screen from YouTube Live, Twitter, and we're about to launch on Facebook Live here in about 5 minutes. Carmen Love, did I hear correctly? The Elantra he drives was in the driveway when the cops arrived. I want to cross my T's and dot my I's here. I heard, and based on, of course, law enforcement sources, that an Elantra was found. An Elantra was found at his home in Monroe County. I have not heard, and perhaps it, look, a lot of this stuff gets lost in translation because let me explain. This is all being done by text. When reporters find friends like Jennifer, and you find a law enforcement.
Yeah, isn't that one crazy? Okay, that's what I thought, Nanya. I was like, wait, I've seen her name before. Yeah, think about those jacks that they've been accusing of. Think of all the people, the neighbor, like, yeah, the car. That's what it's interesting to find out. Will be interesting. I'm gonna fast forward it though, so we're on real time. Well, I'll let them finish saying this, and then I'm gonna catch up so we don't miss. We'll watch the press conference through JB. I like JB. Does everybody like JB? I really like JB Bruno. I don't know about you guys, but so far JB is one of my favorite reporters. JB takes a lot of these cases very personal and very, like, he does his due diligence, in my opinion. The hooded guy, yes. Yep. The guy at the taco truck or the food grub truck, yep. Okay, I'm going to switch back over.
Source that you are comfortable with and they are comfortable with you. It's all being done by text message. Everything is being done by text message these days. So something to as short as there was an Elantra could be misconstrued as to, okay, that is the Elantra. I keep seeing that an Elantra was found at the home in Monroe County, and that, of course, leads everyone to believe that it is the Elantra in question. Do you read that the same way, Jennifer?
Yeah, you explained it well.
Yeah, it's just, it's sometimes like we can't definitively say it's the Elantra. We don't have the year, we don't have the color, just that an Elantra was found at the home in Monroe County. Conference gets underway in about 4 minutes.
Okay, so clarification, yes, they found an Elantra, but they don't have confirmation that it is the Elantra that police were looking for. Okay. I love JB. Yes. Okay. We're all on the same page. Okay, good. Oh, I really like JB Bruno. He was who I followed during the Gabby Petito case, was him and Brian Enton, and them. I just grew very fond of them. They're very, when I remember when it broke that Brian's body was found, watching JB just like sink because he knew the family wasn't going to have closure, complete closure. Gabby's family was heartbreaking. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Yeah, Marcy, this story has been hard for a lot of people because, um, a lot of us have kids this age or nieces and nephews or, friends, loved ones that go to school, people that have been in sororities, frats, all of it. Like this is such a typical story, could be anybody. It just, yes, Tesby, I agree. A lot of them did though. BHB, Justin, the list goes on and on and on. Okay, let's go back over to it.
From now is second. Jennifer. One
Yeah,
second.
you
Raise
bet.
your hand. We'll have someone that is impartial and that doesn't know who the media is. They will actually be the ones that come around and bring the microphone. So we will have questions and answers. Please stay on point and ask the questions that will be relevant to this investigation. Let me see as well.
Sorry, y'all, while they're giving rules to the media, I need to mention I have to run here at 2:30, between 2:30 and 2:45. But if we have to cut out and they're still finishing up, I will come back as soon as I get back from picking up my little one, and we will finish it out, and then we will talk and speculate and do all that. Okay. So if I do have to cut it short, please know that I will be back. But I appreciate y'all for being here, and I really hope that the families, there's some sort of closure. Today is also the day that they're celebrating the life of Maddie and Kaylee. So it's kind of coming full circle. So let's get back to it.
If there's any evergreen or Argonaut
questions first. So I find it interesting they're paralleling how they held their first press conference. Secondarily, in regard to a lot of those questions, I think they're very confident. Obviously, they have probable cause that a judge has signed off on. So we know that definitely. I think they're very confident. Already, just in the sleuth community, we've made a lot of links to this individual. And I think that Elantra, as you said, we can't say it's the Elantra, but the inference is definitely there. I think that they will hash that out at this news conference. I still think they'll be limited about a lot of what they have to say, though.
I'm very curious to know about specific questions, the DNA evidence, and what specifically is the DNA evidence that they have tying, again, 28-year-old Brian Kohberger to the deaths of Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Goncalves. Again, 20 and 21 years old, killed on November 13th in the middle of the night. Jennifer, any final thoughts? We're going to kind of taper off here into the press conference getting underway. Any final thoughts before we get underway live from Moscow, Idaho?
No, other than I'm just so grateful this day has come for the victim families.
Likewise, as we take a look now around the room, Jennifer, we're going to break down what we have learned and what we didn't learn. What are the biggest unanswered questions remaining after the press conference is over? So stick around for YouTube, Facebook, WFLA.com audience. As soon as the press conference is done, we are back live to talk about what we learned and what we didn't in regards to the arrest reportedly being made in the Idaho quadruple student homicide. Let's listen in.
In this case, it was 4 University of Idaho students who were battling inside that 6-bedroom rental. Still a lot of questions remain. What's the motive? Is there answers to those questions? We've also reached out to you heard from one of them. And actually, before
Thank you for coming today. Last night, in conjunction with the Pennsylvania State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murder of Ethan Zana, Madison, and Kaylee. I want to personally thank these agencies for their assistance in this case. Koberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University. We will provide as much information as we can about the extradition to Idaho and the criminal process. However, due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today until Kohlberger has his initial appearance in Idaho court. I want to express my appreciation to our local community, the people of Idaho, and those throughout our nation who provided information to help us investigate these murders has been very impressive. We've received over 19,000 tips, and we've conducted over 300 interviews. To recap this case, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at about 1:56 a.m. after visiting a local bar and street food vendor. Ethan and Zana were at the Sigma Chi house before arriving home around 1:45 a.m. The two surviving roommates had also been in the community but returned around 1 a.m. On the morning of November 13th, a 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m. reporting an unconscious person at the residence. The call came from inside the home from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow police responded and found 2 victims on the 2nd floor and 2 victims on the 3rd floor. On November 17th, autopsies were conducted and the Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 victims. The cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times. These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very complex and extensive case. We had developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done, but be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused on pursuing every lead in our pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I recognize the frustration with the lack of information that's been released. However, providing any details in this criminal investigation might have tainted the upcoming criminal prosecution or alerted the suspect of our progress. We will continue to provide as much information as we can as the process moves forward. Today, I want to specifically thank our dedicated Moscow Police Department detectives, patrol officers, the Idaho State detectives, the Idaho State troopers, and their crime lab technicians and scientists, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the resources and personnel to conduct this massive investigation. It was the dedication of them and the persistence and the numerous hours that led to an arrest. Fortunately, these highly skilled people worked together as a cohesive team to solve this case. I also want to thank our community and the nation. Over the past 6 weeks, I've been continually reminded of how much our community cares. Locally, public support has been exceptional with kind words, food for investigators, and letters of support. You will never know how much your words of encouragement help us through these trying times. I appreciate each of you and each of your kindness. Agencies and individuals from across the nation have reached out to us to express their support to this department. I'm reminded how our Moscow community, our families, and the nation has been impacted by this daily. Finally, I do want to thank our media partners for the help. You kept this in the news. You helped us with tips. You kept things going, and we truly appreciate that. And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number. I would like to invite Bill Thompson, the county prosecutor, up at this time.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohlberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohlberger, and let me preface, there's a pending case now in court, and I in my office and the investigators have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, I promise you we will share with you through the court process or otherwise whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate your patience on that. The factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohlberger is physically back in Latah County and has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant. At that time, we expect that that affidavit will be available to you so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all of the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please have patience with us on that. We hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohlberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over in Pullman. He has had an initial appearance in front of a judge in Pennsylvania. He is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back in court in Pennsylvania next Tuesday afternoon, and that a public defender has been appointed for him there. The process at this point is, since he was arrested in another state, he has the opportunity to either waive extradition and return voluntarily to the state of Idaho, or if he prefers not to waive extradition, then we will initiate extradition proceedings through our governor's office. If we do that, it can take a while for him to get here. So again, I'm asking for your patience and understand that's just the way the system works. Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure.
Just so you guys know, this man is no joke. I've seen him prosecute before. Just an FYI.
Counsel is competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need to refer you to. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. As an attorney, myself and my office, we are limited on what we are allowed by the courts to say outside of the courtroom. So please just work with us. Finally, as the chief indicated, this is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning. You all now know the name of the person who has been charged with these offenses. Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward, call the tip line, report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why. Next, I'll introduce Colonel Ked Wells from the Idaho State Police. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Kedrick Wills. I serve as the director of the Idaho State Police and certainly want to express our appreciation for your attendance here today. These tragic murders took 4 young, vibrant lives from our community. Nothing we do can bring them back. The only thing that we can do in law enforcement to honor their memories that we know of is to bring this to a successful conclusion. This has been a very difficult time for the families, the university, the community, and the state of Idaho. However, it is also proven that communities come together in tough times. Certainly appreciate the support of the local community and our national audience that has been following us as our investigators have worked through this case. I'm thankful also to you, the media partners, who have helped keep this case in the forefront that generates the tips and continues what we hope will continue to generate information that will help us to a conclusion of this proceeding. I'd like to express our appreciation on behalf of the Idaho State Police to Chief Fry, his leadership, and the entire Moscow Police Department for the way that they handled this from the very beginning. He directed the right people to the right positions that led us to this conclusion today. I've had the utmost confidence in this investigation and in Chief Fry, as well as in Mr. Bill Thompson and the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, who've been a great partner throughout this. Nothing has deterred the commitment of the investigators who've worked on this case, regardless of the organization they represent. It's been very trying and very difficult, as you know, that it has been on those investigators as they do the tedious work that they're so good at doing.
Sorry, I just had to pause for a minute. It's one of those vests that they put on them, the protective vests, when it's a high profile case and they're transporting them in and out of like vehicles. You guys know what I'm talking about? I think they're bulletproof, but there's more to it. There's self-harm. I can't remember what they're called, but they do multiple things. That's what it looks like to me that he's wearing.
The partnerships is what's led here as well. The partnerships between Moscow Police Department, I'd like to express our appreciation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, specifically the special agent in charge out of the Salt Lake City Division, Dennis Rice, and also the work that happened in the last 24 hours in Pennsylvania with the arrest with the Pennsylvania State Police and Colonel Evanchik with the Pennsylvania State Police. We appreciate what they've done across the nation to help us as well. As Bill shared, this investigation is far from over. In fact, I appreciate what he shared, that this is not an ending, but rather a new beginning. The difference now is, as he shared, that we are dictated what information we can share by the court process and by laws in our state of Idaho. And so we will share, as he shared, Mr. Thompson is absolutely committed to share everything he can share through the court process. We've got to make sure that we don't get in front of that process. And we really deeply appreciate everybody's support here. The relationships that were forged here and the partnerships that were forged have led to this. And based on that is why we're here today. And we continue to believe that the best way we can honor these 4 lives that have been taken is to make sure that we have a successful outcome here. One of the partnerships that's been forged throughout this is a partnership with the University of Idaho. And on that, I'd like to introduce the president of the University of Idaho, Mr. Scott Green.
I want to talk for just a second. I'm pausing it. Thank you, Spoonie Cindy. It's called a turtle suit. Christina, welcome. Kathy P. Xana, yeah, they said Xana had defense wounds. I didn't hear anybody else. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Kathy P., I do think he's going to fight extradition. I think this is going to be an absolute shit show. If you look at the face he's got, if you look at like some of the things he'd been researching, stuff like that, I think he is going to run every single problem that potentially could be caused to hold up this trial. But that's just my opinion. So I have, just based on what I've seen so far, I have a feeling this is going to be a mess. And I hate to say that, but that's just my feeling going into this. Okay, let's get back to it. Hey, Kool-Aid. Yes, I don't think they said Marcy. I think her dad made mention of something. But I give it hands down to law enforcement. Once again, all hats off to law enforcement and the whole team up there that has been working together. They have done such a great job of keeping stuff close to the vest and not letting this get ruined so far. And thank goodness for them.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Scott Green, President of the University of Idaho. Today's news and arrest is a welcome one. It's relief to our university, our community, and our extended Vandal family. The outpouring of support over the past 6 weeks helped sustain us during the most trying time. It provided the strength that helped us navigate the international scrutiny visited on our students and employees. We are truly thankful for the compassion and acts of kindness shown to our community. Kindness is contagious, and it provided the light that reclaimed ground lost to evil and darkness. We first want to acknowledge and thank Governor Little for the early promise of financial support that enabled the university to secure our campus and focus on helping our students and our employees in the wake of the crimes. We also appreciate the Idaho State Police and the highly visible security presence that brought comfort and calm to a community shocked and confused by the senseless crimes. We never lost faith that this case would be solved and are grateful for the hard work of the Moscow Police Department and their law enforcement partners. Vast and committed FBI resources brought important expertise to this complex case. Across the board, dedicated, highly competent personnel worked this case to arrest. This crime has nevertheless left a mark on our university, our community, and our state. While we cannot bring back Maddie, Kaylee, Zaina, and Ethan, we can thoughtfully and purposefully carry their legacy forward in the work that we do. Our students come first, and that was proven each and every day of this investigation. We are committed to safely delivering the college town atmosphere, campus experience, and high-touch quality education for which the University of Idaho is known. With time, we will heal. We will move forward together, and we will remain Vandal strong. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to Chief Fry.
So now we will open the floor to questions. However, I want to remind everyone, as Prosecutor Bill Thompson explained, any factual information regarding the arrest of Kohlberger is currently sealed per Idaho law and will not be released until he has appeared in an Idaho court. Please formulate your questions accordingly. I recognize there are a lot of questions, and I will try to answer as many of them as I can.
Lauren Patterson, Northwest Public Broadcasting, Spokane Public Radio. I realize the records are sealed. I guess I'm not too familiar with how it works, but can you tell us what tip, what lead, what piece of evidence really led you all the way from Idaho to the suspect in Pennsylvania?
As I've said in the past, that's part of our investigation, and we won't be releasing that at this time. We will have those answers. We'll have them as soon as we can make those available to you.
Then a quick follow-up and a two-parter. Is our community safe, or is law enforcement still on the search for other suspects who might be involved in this attack?
What I can tell you is we have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes, and I do believe our community is safe, but we still need to be vigilant, right? We still have talked about this in the past. We always need to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're aware of what's going on.
Hi, Chief. How soon into the investigation did police and law enforcement begin to spot Mr. Kohlberger as a potential suspect? And a follow-up, how many tips, if you can say, were specifically related to Mr. Kohlberger?
To the tip part, honestly, I can't answer that question, so I'm not even going to speculate on that. On the other part, that's part of our investigation, and it will come out. I'd like the mic to please come right over here.
They're not going to be able to really say much at all until he's in Idaho and actually been seen before a judge. I understand this is just protocol of going through the question and answer, but there's so much that they're not going to be able to say at all.
Thank you. Dana Griffin with NBC News. Can you confirm that Kohlberger asked whether or not anyone else had been arrested when he was in custody?
I cannot confirm that, or I'm not sure of that information, but that would still be a part of our investigation.
Did CODIS initially return any hits on this guy?
That's still part of our investigation. That will come out. If we could get somebody over here, please.
And then one final question. Is there any message to the online sleuths who slandered and harassed people who they believed were responsible?
There was a lot of speculation going on, and we've always said from the very beginning that we're the official message that comes out, and to pay attention to what we're putting out there to the press.
I'm Nancy Liu with News Nation, and we were over at the house this morning, and you told us that the remediation would begin today. It was suddenly stopped. Can you tell us why?
Yes. The house cleanup has been halted, and that came by a legal request from the court.
Oh, that's really good. That was a good question. Both of those. Did you see the attorney behind him? Pay attention to his faces when those questions are asked about the slander and defamation. Watch his face. This isn't over. They have been watching and taking names. I promise you. Idaho officials, I told you, they might look like they don't know what they're doing, but these are the old boys. These guys.
Christina Corbin, Fox News. Chief, have you identified a motive?
That is part of the investigation, and that will come out as we continue the investigation. But what we still ask is for people to continually send us things in the tip line. We are still looking for more information. We're still trying to build that picture, just like we have stated all along. We're putting all the pieces together, and that will help.
Chief, Veronica Miracle with CNN. Any indication that the suspect knew the victims?
That's part of the investigation as well. It won't be something that will come out at this point in time, but as we continue the investigation and as this case goes to trial, that will be brought forth.
Have you spoken to the families? Can you tell us what they've told you today?
Are you talking the victims' families?
Yes, the victims' families.
Yeah, we have reached out to the victims' family as we always do. We've done that daily, and we've continued to have contact with them.
Hey, Nate Sanford, you mentioned earlier that you're still seeking tips about Brian and that people should still share whatever information they have. Can you speak at all about what specifically people should be reaching out for, like if they know something?
I would say anything and everything. As we've said all along, we know what tips we're looking for. We will take those tips and we will have professionals look at those and decide which pieces of those we need to use for our case. So we ask that everybody would do that.
Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. Your department and other investigators on the case took a lot of flack for keeping information close to your chest. Are you glad that you did that, and were you worried about tipping the suspect off?
I will 100% stand behind the way that we handled this investigation. And this all started from day one with our patrol officers arriving on scene, locking down the scene, us calling in the Idaho State Police, us calling in the FBI, and keeping information that was pertinent to this case very, very tight.
Hell yes. He's standing behind everything they've done. I was waiting for that right there. And that smile right there means that they've known for a while where they were headed, and they've been able to keep it. I believe that they've known a bunch more. I mean, obviously they know a lot more, but this was, it's just so refreshing to hear law enforcement be reassured by their work after especially what has been done and said about these guys.
We want to have a situation where when this goes to trial, there is no doubt that we've done everything right, and we've slowed down, and we've continued to slow down. We'll continue to do that.
Hey, Chief. Have you guys found the murder weapon or the Hyundai Elantra?
So we are still looking for all pieces of evidence, but we are still looking for the weapon. And I will say that we have found an Elantra.
This man, it is so nice to see him be a little refreshed. It really is giving me, he feels, you can just tell he's finally like, I've been trying to tell you guys, be patient.
Stephanie Becker with CNN. Can you tell what it was like when you got the phone call when the police told you that they had your suspect?
I can tell you, for a lot of law enforcement, it was a fairly sleepless couple of days as we were leading up to everything that we were doing. But what I can tell you is I have faith in those agencies across the nation. I have faith in our officers. I have faith in the FBI, and they did a great job. But sure, there was some times, even throughout the day, that we were always concerned.
Hi, Chief. Danya back at CBS News. Can you talk a little bit more about the suspect's connection to Pennsylvania?
All I know is that he lives in Pennsylvania.
Chief Guy Tannenbaum from Nonstop Local KHQ in Spokane. More about the Elantra. We saw reports that you mentioned that you recovered an Elantra, but can you specify where that was found? And we know that that was one of the biggest pieces of information you were asking from the public to tip. Were you able to provide an information on whether those tips led to this seizure of an Elantra?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out in the future.
Chief Glenn Mosley, Idaho Public Radio here in Moscow. The additional police presence in town and on campus, semester's coming. Is that going to continue?
You will continue to see state troopers in the area. You know, we're talking to Latah County as well. You will see a presence of us that we're always have up on campus. We have assigned officers to that. So you will continue to see a law enforcement presence. I'm going to take two more questions.
Hi, Chief. Julie Scott, ABC News. Can you tell us if you eventually had a license plate number to the Elantra and how you tracked it to Pullman?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out.
Chief, hi, Matt Lovelace with the Murrow College of Communication. I want to ask about Mr. Koberger as a graduate student at WSU. Are you aware of if he returned to campus after November 13th? And have you had any communication with departments on the WSU campus about his attendance?
So some of that is going to be followed up as we continue our investigation. We'll be asking some of those questions, but that'll come out in the near future. So what I do want to do is I want to thank you all. You really have been the national voice for us. You've given us the opportunity to get many, many tips, and I do appreciate everything you've done, and we'll continue to look forward to working with you in the future on this. So I'd like to thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Buno.
All right, before we get into this, I want to go back up here and read some of your guys' thoughts. Tell me what you think so far. I don't have to jump off. The oldest is going to go get the youngest for me, so I'm good to go. I don't have to run. Hold on just 1 second. Sorry. One's home on Christmas vacation. We're still juggling. One's in center. The oldest is, we're shuffling over here. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me and all my craziness today. I, once again, hands down to law enforcement, blowhard and creepo stalker in the bushes. Jonathan, you once again should be embarrassed and ashamed of yourselves. And hopefully you'll be, hopefully this time you guys have really done some damage and you start to see the repercussions of your actions. That's all I can say there, along with Justin and a few others. Let me read what you guys say. Yeah, this is a very small area, very, very small area, but these guys weren't just sitting around twiddling their thumbs like everybody was accusing them of. This is personal to them. This is a case that will make and break their careers. One of my really good friends from Idaho, her father passed away last year of COVID, but he was an ISP lieutenant and worked on the Duncan case with the Shasta Grony and stuff. And cases like this don't happen very often, but unfortunately, when they do, they're horrific up there. It seems like it's just, ugh. Yeah, they did a great job. I agree. And it seeing him have some renewed like faith today, like a little bit of a grin, like this is what we've been working for. This is, nothing's going to bring back those kids. Like this is a horrible tragedy, but letting law enforcement do their jobs and get this is amazing. I agree. His sincerity shines through. Yes, they did a great job getting the FBI involved right away. But you have 2 huge college campuses there. That was a major concern of mine. You had 2 huge college campuses within 10 miles of each other. Safari, I hope so too. The tragedy pimps give out so much misinformation. I agree, T-Sip and Mama. I hope so, D. Oh yeah, they'll know it all. Of course, there's a Pennsylvania connection, so it'll be somebody that she knows that's, and then MGL will get an exclusive, and next thing you know, they'll have some sort of evidence that will pop up. But think about this, something else they said that I want you guys to think about. 19,000 tips from across the country. They did 300 interviews. So out of 19,000, they had to weed through 19,000. Granted, yes, great that there was so much look on this case, but how much wasted time going through nonsense did they spend? 19,000 tips, 300 interviews. A 28-year-old that is a graduate student of WSU Pullman. His name is, let me tell you exactly verbatim so I don't get it wrong. It is Brian C. Kohberger, Kohberger, 28 years old, graduate student at WSU Pullman, was arrested this morning on homicide charges for, let me tell you exactly his charges. Hold on. He was arrested on a fugitive of justice warrant early this morning by members of Troop N in the Special Emergency Response Team at a home in Chestnut Hill Township, Monroe County. He was arraigned before on-call Magistratal District Judge Michael Muth and remanded to Monroe County Correctional Facility pending extradition to Idaho. He has not been served with the warrants for the murder yet, correct? He will get those when he gets to Idaho. They have to extradite him to Idaho first, I think, if I'm correct on that. But they have filed multiple charges already. Now he'll have another extradition hearing on Tuesday next week in Pennsylvania. There's actually Pennsylvania State Police released a statement. That's what I was reading out of there. Moscow just did their whole entire release. They are not releasing the probable cause affidavit at this point in time because due to Idaho state laws, that is against their procedures. So once he is actually in Idaho and facing the charges in Idaho and he's been arraigned and all of that, then things will change with the probable cause affidavit is what I got out of that. So at this point in time, you're going to see a ton of speculation, a ton of misinformation, a ton of connections. Granted, some of them might be factual, others probably not. Law enforcement is not going to be releasing much more until things start working. Yes, thank goodness. And today is the day that they are celebrating Kaylee and Maddie's lives also. I wonder when he did go home Beefworks too. I wonder if he went home immediately after, if he went back to, I'm interested to know that, like the transition. And I'm interested to know if he did make that statement to law enforcement about others being arrested. I am interested to know that because that's being put all over too. And then there's, people saying that there's potential connections, relatives of his, other things that might have been local neighbors. There's just no information yet. T, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. It'll be interesting to find the connection. And how have you guys seen the information that was put out about his research project that was put on Reddit? That's interesting, and that's where I'm getting my opinion based that he will play games with this, unfortunately. Pirate Girl, I don't think he was. I mean, obviously, that's so hard to say. Yes, Christina's journey. I wish they would absolutely let them. Oh, and by the way, Spanky was over there earlier, like getting ready for this press conference, talking about this. And I think I got a super chat. I think I got a super chat was going off. And he was doing his little, somebody else's tragedy, of course. So he's making super chats off it. Make it make sense. Yeah, Lisa, Reddit's a lot to sift through. Yeah, shopaholic, right? Shouldn't have known all along. They were just throwing red herrings out there so people weren't looking, but they've known all along. It's because of them that they put pressure on law enforcement, that law enforcement was only able to find this guy. You know that, right? D, I wonder if it will be found, to be honest. If he drove cross country, which sounds like what happened, if the car was found in Pennsylvania, it could be anywhere. And I don't know if if that is a new enough car that it would have GPS mapping or locating to figure out exactly which route he took if he's not talking. But I was thinking about that. I was like, can you imagine from Idaho to Pennsylvania? That's cross country, and all of the different areas he could have. I don't know. I was thinking about the GPS on the car and if there's any points in time, like if it can be tracked and find stops along his way. Oh, yeah. They will always. Exactly. Pirate. Exactly. There's, well, the girls' lives are being celebrated today. So there's a celebration of life happening, but they'll celebrate that they've somehow done this. You know that. This just makes my heart hurt on so many levels. As I told you guys, a lot of my family still lives in Post Falls. Kyle both of us lived up there for quite a while. All of these families, most of them have deep connections, Post Falls, Rathdrum, Coeur d'Alene. I still have family in the area. I have a lot of close friends with family friends that live in Moscow. Like, this was really hard for me. My daughter went to elementary school with these girls. So this one was hard for me. When it happened, I had a real hard time because I was just like, this is not how it works. Like these people in Idaho are not like what they're being made out to be. Like, these are typical kids, like the drug smuggling, all of that stuff that was being thrown out there, the cartel and stuff. Yes, shit like that unfortunately happens all the time. But the theories it was really close to home for me. I used to volunteer coach soccer up there. A lot of the kids up there, a lot of these girls played soccer at the same time. Yeah, there's just a lot. It was a heavy one. But at that time, like, I'm so disconnected from it. And it affected me on a personal level the way it did. It affected so many of us. But the thing that I want to take it back to is I keep looking at Ethan's mom's face. One of the first press conferences we did, that was, I think, one of the first, I'm going to cry talking about it. One of the first interviews we watched over that was his mom and the pain in her. Yes, T, absolutely. This guy's going to play games, I have a feeling. Oh, yeah, Spoonie. Yes. Yeah, I wasn't born in Idaho, but I lived in Idaho when I moved. I've lived all over the place, but I still have family, a lot of family in that area. Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful area. Okay, I'm gonna get back to this, but Ethan's mom, like, talking about it just makes me tear up thinking about, and you guys know what I'm talking about, when she was given that speech and being like, we just want to tell his story. He was such a great kid and stuff. And then watching all of these YouTube creators, adult YouTube creators who are parents themselves, smear this kid's name, compare him to absolutely horrific other kids, and watch his life just be dragged through the mud, a murder victim, all for content on YouTube. Like, that just, I cannot reconcile this shit in my head. Marcy, I hope so too. I really hope this is an only situation. And I know people say, like, you don't just wake up and do this once. There has to be some sort of history. Unfortunately, anymore, like, nothing is, expect the unexpected, I guess. How far is Idaho to Pennsylvania? Hold on, let me tell you exactly how far it was. He was arrested, Chestnut Hill Township. Okay, let me look. We'll tell you exactly. Give me 1 second. It's a long ways. A long freaking ways. That's one thing I know. Pennsylvania is weird. Like the township stuff. That's weird. Okay, hold on. It's loading. Maybe. Wait. No, it's 10 hours from me. What's it doing? Hold on. I had it, and then it went back to my location. Yeah. 25, 42, 37 hours. $25.70 is what I have. 1 day, 13 hours. $25.73. I mean, you can go different routes, but it's from $25.70 to $27.33. So right under, between 2,500 and 3,000 miles. Angel, that's depending, I don't know. I don't know what it takes for somebody to be capable of doing such a thing like he did. So I don't know if adrenaline, I don't know if that would keep you awake, if you would crash. I don't know. That's on, and being honest, like, I really don't know. Yes, Pirate, you could see the pain in his mom's face. Brian Eaton, Jimmy Palmer, and Hope. I don't know who that is. Ted Bundy. He looks like Ted Bundy. Not to me, he doesn't. He's got, I don't know, his eyes, something in his eyes is. Nothing is unthinkable anymore. Absolutely. I'm more pissed off at these sad excuses of humans. Safari, 100% agreed. Absolutely agree. Yeah, T, I agree with that. Oh, thank you. I'm looking at it right now. The truth. Thank you. I knew it'd get leaked. Oh, this is the Pennsylvania one? Yeah, it is. So Idaho hasn't released theirs, but this is the one from Pennsylvania. Sweet. Okay. Thank you. Throughout my career, I've conducted hundreds of criminal investigations, including numerous homicide investigations, blah, 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 blah. Okay. There's nothing really. This is just the Idaho one or the Pennsylvania one. So the Pennsylvania one is really? Oh, I just read my other messages. Amethyst, I read yours. I think she did an interview with Maddie. Was it Maddie's family? Am I right? Jenny C, right? Oh, I would hope not. Oh, hope. I'm gonna have to look and see. I don't see Ted Bundy at all either. I'm trying to think. There is somebody he looks alike, but I cannot think. Lucy, that's hard to say. It's really hard to say, honestly. Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you, the truth. Elle, I do too. I don't know if anybody has confirmed that. Amethyst had a great question. What was it, Amethyst? Did I miss it? Oh, about I don't know if she's with the families. I've heard that, but I've not seen confirmation of it. But I wish there's some I wouldn't say the things that I wanna say just because of those families are suffering. Maddie was an only child. Um Yes, Elisa, that's very true. Yeah, originally I heard that she was going because she spit at that guy and he pressed charges, but I've never seen. Hold on, let me look right now. Has anybody checked the Idaho repository? On that? I don't know if Oh, Amethyst. I can't remember the guy's name that I'm thinking of that he looks like, but he looks like somebody to me. Oh, Pirate, you know who's taking a profiling class? ICU. ICU is taking a profiling class because she's so smart. Her and her little internet sleuthing and accusing more people of crimes that they didn't commit and digging into their backgrounds. Yeah, we're going to be going over a lot of shit with these people. I'm looking. Well, I'm looking, but Amethyst, I'm sending you a message right now. Because I mean, with a name like Bullhorn Betty. I still don't get how they went from Andrea to Bullhorn Betty. I don't understand. I see you as a mess. Shopaholic, I don't know. The Celebration of Life, I doubt is in Moscow even. I would bet it's in Coeur d'Alene or Post Falls, maybe. Let me look. I don't know where it's at. Right? More than enough. Yeah, it's in Coeur d'Alene. So they're in, unless they travel 5 hours south, which who knows. But it's supposed to be at 3 p.m., which would be coming up. So hopefully they're still last I saw anything of them, she was in Pullman at the apartment where the guy supposedly lived. So fingers crossed, because that's 5 hours away from where she's at. 5.5, unless they left a while ago and maybe posted different. Cupcakes, I've been hearing them do that more and more lately about, like, if you have anything, once they get somebody in custody and people learn of who it is, I've heard them ask more recently about, like, if you still have tips or anything, because once people realize who it is and they've had interaction with them, they might not think initially that this was any cause for concern or anything. But then going back, they do find some interesting pieces. So I've seen that more recently, that's been a big thing of them continuing to ask for help with tips. I wonder that too. I really wonder that also. What? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Hold on. Can I pull up a picture of him? Yeah, hold on. Yeah, more than enough. I'm sure it does. Lauren, I just have to say, like, earlier I was screwing around with you, and I hope you know that, but what just happened, I am so sorry. And I'll talk about that later. But I'm so pissed right now. I was pissed coming into this. Huh? I might know what? Yeah, it's all very confusing. Absolutely. Yes, Revival, you just did. We can go back and watch it, though. If you guys want to go back and watch and see, we can turn back over. I just wanted to do some information here. No, it's still not okay, Lauren. It's not okay. I don't care. I don't care if you pissed people off. That's still not okay. What just happened was not okay. Sorry. I had no idea. No, sorry.
The face of the suspect.
So this is the man that is in custody right now for arrest or under arrest. His name is Brian C. Koberger. He is 28 years old. He was arrested in Pennsylvania. He is being held in Pennsylvania currently, awaiting extradition hearing on Tuesday, where he is hopefully being extradited, or, he'll have to go through the court process now of extradition back to Idaho. The next hearing is set for Tuesday. He has no bond. He is being charged with the murders of the 4 college students. He is a criminology graduate, candidate. What did it say? It says candidate, but then they just called him a graduate student at WSU Pullman of criminology. He actually published about 6 months ago. He published on Reddit seeking help for a research project by criminals about different things. That's on Reddit if you want to see that, but we'll go into some of this and continue to watch what happened. Oh, what happened to, I'm not going to continue to tell that story. I don't know enough of it. But we'll talk about that later, y'all. We'll separate this out of this. Seth Green? I don't know if I know who Seth Green is. I don't know. He creeps me out in a way, like very cold look to him.
In the Idaho student murders. As investigators say, justice will be found and the community safe. A 28-year-old criminology student in Pennsylvania arrested for the quadruple stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. Good evening or afternoon. Good evening to you now. I think it's afternoon for where most of our audience is joining from. JB Buno here with you live on WFLA Now. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be breaking down what we have learned. And if you're, having a little bit of a moment of an eye roll, it's for good reason, is because investigators and the police chief, that being James Fry, he cannot divulge information that would compromise the ongoing investigation and, of course, the legal due process that is now to follow with the arrest of 28-year-old Brian Christopher Koberger, a PhD student at Washington State University studying criminology, had a Master of Arts in Criminal Justice from DeSales University in Pennsylvania in May of 2022. We're going to go over everything that we learned, everything that we didn't, and of course, the latter is more substantial. Let's bring in my colleague, actually, Jennifer Koffendorfer. That's the correct.
Did you just see that right there? Did you guys see where Jennifer had the Duty Ron banner? And it was Jennifer instead of Duty Ron. I was looking and I'm like, wait, that's not Duty Ron. It's always in their eyes. Yes. Oh, that's who. Okay. Yes. I know exactly who Seth Green is. Yeah, a little bit, but not really. Like this mofo's ugly. Yeah, he's got a master's already. And he was back to school. Yes, Elle, there's something in that smirk. There's like almost like a slight smirk. I don't know if you guys feel the way I do. I mean, of course, innocent until proven guilty, but what happened? Can we just have a safe spot? What happened? Sorry, I missed something. If he did it, he's a monster, yes. Kathy P, I don't know if I get that from him yet, to be honest. I really don't know. Oh, Elle, that's why. Okay. I was like, why is that? Poor Duty Ron. He does have a smug. Okay. There's a little bit of a smirk there. I don't really like this lady, but we're going to watch it anyways.
Super there on the right side of your screen. Jennifer Koffendorfer, retired FBI agent, joining us back here on stream. Jennifer, I'm going to go over my takeaways here, but let's start with you, your chief takeaways as we start to get into the hashtag HeyJB and hashtag HeyJennifer questions and comments.
Well, I think the biggest one was the fact that by court order, that is why they stopped the cleanup of the crime scene. I find that to be very interesting. I could only think that would have to do with the fact that now that they have a suspect in custody, and as the prosecution continues, or now we're in the prosecution stage, sometimes a court will allow jurors to actually go back to a crime scene and go look at it. And I'm wondering if, since now we're in the court's venue, because we had a affidavit signed, we had a court sign off on it. That's the only thing I could think of as to why this has been court ordered. That really stuck out to me.
You think the crime scene might have been preserved enough to a point where they're halting things and saying, look, there might be more useful to us going forward here. Let's not clean this up and make this, tidy once again, given what has transpired with the arrest of Brian Koberger.
Yeah, I mean, this tells me that exactly his words, I think, a legal request by the court. That's the words I wrote down. Legal request by the court. The court is.
Tell me your guys' thoughts on that. Why do you feel like they are holding the crime scene? I feel like it could be one of two things, in my opinion. And granted, again, I am not anything professional. I am a pure spectator, just like you. This is my opinion only. But one thing that crossed my mind was for preservation of evidence on behalf of his attorney requesting that. if he potentially already has representation and they asked for that, or they want more photos or something of the crime scene. Those were my two initial thoughts. DNA related. It tells me someone else got a hold of the case, i.e. prosecutor, and they decided to call cleanup off. Cupcakes, okay. The jury will go there unless he accepts the plea. I don't see them jury walk through. Yeah, pirate, I'm wondering. I don't know how that would work, if that would be something that they could even get at this point in time, like if he had a representation. How I don't know how any of that works. Those were just two of the thoughts I had. Was could it be something that, like, if he has counsel, which we don't know, could they be requesting to look at some of that themselves? I don't know if that's something that they could do even. He's going to court on Tuesday in Pennsylvania for extradition. So they are asking to extradite him back to Idaho, and he, of course, can fight that. There's a whole legal process, but that happens on Tuesday in Pennsylvania. The DA, more evidence now that they have a suspect. Now all these people that went after that coroner and stuff too should feel awfully disgusted with themselves, considered they were calling for her job and all sorts of shit too. I kind of believe the DA would preserve as well. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if they'll preserve. Okay, interesting.
Is the judge. That's what we mean in our vernacular. And why is the court ordering that, other than if they could foresee that being a request by a defense attorney that he would want, or a prosecutor even. But it seemed odd that there was a legal request by the court. So I'm a little bit curious about that.
Now hearing her say that, is it because they did say something about a public defender, but that's always interesting. Yeah, it's going to be a long, drawn out process. But that's interesting that she said that about his, team or whatever, being able to go over it. That was where I was wondering. Interesting. So many people drug through the mud. Abso-freaking-lutely they have.
I have various notes, as I do during press conferences. I just scribble as many notes as possible, trying to keep up with what we're learning. Let me just first start with what everybody else was saying on YouTube Live. Hello to our YouTube Live, Facebook Live audience, WFLA.com. Hello to those joining us on Twitter as well. Look, there was just overall a look of relief on the face of Police Chief James Fry, and a bit of a smile. Not a ear to ear smile, but a smile enough where you can just see that there is tremendous relief on his face, knowing that he can stand there with confidence and say that the community is safe. Some of the quotes here: justice will be found, and that we have received a clear picture over time. But also saying here in my notes, the work is not done. A couple of notes that I have that I found was particularly interesting. Of course, learning that, look, we know that the arrest affidavit is going to come out, and that is going to be really what people are looking for, the treasure trove of information as to how they went from, in really what felt like 24 hours, how they went from talking about cleaning up the crime scene in the last PIO update, the last YouTube update that we got from Moscow yesterday, all of a sudden to today, everything forming in really a matter of hours. Talk about a massive turn of events. So the arrest affidavit might paint a picture as to how things went so quickly. And it really makes you wonder if there was one massive break in this case, something massive that led police to, again, Albrightsville, Pennsylvania is the town that is in Monroe County, northeastern PA, not too far away from the tri-state area. Also, as well, from my notes, of course, no bond. We know that he's not going to be able to bond out. And then that they're still looking for the weapon. He also find this interesting, Jennifer. And we talked about this before the stream. I admitted I was not comfortable saying that police had found the Elantra. There's a difference between a Elantra and the Elantra. Police found an Elantra. And while immediately people are going to connect the dots and go from A to Z, really, and say that is the one that police have been looking for, look, we don't even really know its color. All we know is that a Elantra was discovered really at the scene of where Brian Kohberger was taken into custody.
Yeah, I like the fact that JB points out so many things that these tragedy pimps do wrong. What if Ethan broke Perp's nose? Running Bear, I hope one of them did. Notorious, I'm still wondering what the connection is going to be. I do not feel that this is going to be, I feel it's random, but I feel like some way, shape, or form, unfortunately, in my opinion, he probably knew one of them. They might not have known. He knew of them. Something. There's going to be something weird. A friend's son was murdered in 2019. Suspect has been in jail since, but still no trial. Yeah, they take forever. And they put all these innocent people through hell for a few bucks. Yep. And they'll never take it down. Idaho does have the death penalty. Absolutely. Carly agreed. Lucy, I don't think so. I really don't. I think if one of the survivors would have gotten a glimpse of him and would have recognized him, it would have been sooner. I really don't. I hate to say that. I don't feel that if they heard anything, I don't feel that there's anything shady with these college kids. I feel that they were just college kids and they didn't hear anything. They had a night out, and I know that's maybe different than a lot of people, but I genuinely do not believe. And maybe if they did, they didn't recognize him. It's oh, Safari. Yes. Gumby. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Gumby. I hope you're okay. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if you were talking about me apologizing to Lauren about what just happened there, but I'll explain that later. I don't know if it's so random per se, as in like, but he had to, in my opinion, he had to have been watching them or something. Exactly, Ash. Yeah, no, you're right. 100%. I agree with you on that. He followed all 3 of them, actually, I think, on social media, to be honest, from my good sources. Running Bear, I feel like that's a possibility too. Yes, he did follow them. I don't know if Lisa, he could be a collector, but it would be interesting to find out the GPS locations if that is the car. And let's say he drove from Moscow back to Pennsylvania. If the car has the GPS, if he stopped places where he stopped, like I said, there's a long place to get rid of it. Good on you. You could be right. And Notorious, I was wondering about rejection. I felt like this story had some sort of underlying rejection in it. I don't know. I think the time with extradition is 90 days if he doesn't want to waive his rights. No, unknown 5801. There has been rumors about that in the past. They did find 2 male suspects that were supposedly 2 that had been accused of that. They investigated, talked to them. They are not this guy, and police cleared those guys, that it was just like a random, they were trying to meet girls kind of situation. But there was never any confirmation. Oh, okay, thank you, Nanya. Okay, thank you. Okay. Kaylee had a stalker. Yes, absolutely. He wasn't. I don't think they knew him well. I don't even know if they knew of him, to be honest. There's always the potential if you don't know who knows of you on social media. That's kind of an eerie feeling. Mackie, I've heard that, but there has been no confirmation of any of that. Sherry, namaste. Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation that the sister is the neighbor, but I have not seen any confirmation of that. Hey guys, I'm having a weird problem uploading. The filters and clip options are not there. Grr. Kool-Aid, is there an update? Was there a recent update on it? I don't ever use that. That would be great if they have a firing squad still in Idaho as an option. I don't think that would fly anymore, but maybe. If anywhere's got that option, it's probably Idaho. Yeah, Shopaholic, I can't find any confirmation of that yet. I agree. You could be right for sure. Sorry, you guys, I'm catching up. Yeah, we got to get them covered first. Or incel vibes. T. I don't know. I don't get that necessarily. No, Kool-Aid, I don't know. I don't know anything about the back end of YouTube. I just load the video. I don't use the editing stuff at all. His eyes are vacant. Tallulah, very, very, very good point out. Vacant is a great description of his eyes. Pugs, are you okay? Yeah, there'll be a lot. I haven't offered yet. Yeah, I'm not sure. Cupcakes, it'll be interesting to see. Okay, let's go back to this and see. I caught up on the comments. Running Bear, it'll be interesting. I would love to see what his previous projects were for his master's at DeSales. I would love to see what any of his papers were on before, like any of his projects, any of his papers. I would love to see that stuff. If he did like a thesis, if he has done any internships, externships, I would love to know. It'll be interesting. We'll find out a lot about this guy pretty soon.
So whether or not it is the Elantra, look, that is going to become more clear over time. But not having the murder weapon, but maybe potentially having the vehicle, these are just some of the little nuggets that we were able to learn from this press conference.
Well, they're going to lock all that down. And there's so much more investigation to do right now. First of all, they've got all that locked down. They're getting search warrants for that vehicle, search warrants for his home, search warrants for his parents' home, for friends' homes. They are going to be unmasking every bit of this individual's, Mr. Kohberger's relationships, his friends, his acquaintances. They're going to dive into all of that. Another clue that was given by the chief. Did you hear him say when he said 2 days ago? He said something like 2 days ago, it's been hard to sit back. It's been sleepless nights. So that gives us our timeline a little bit, JB, right? When there was the break. And that falls in line with, so that would have been Wednesday. That's when he announced we're going to do the cleanup, on Friday. It's going to start on Friday. So we want you to know there's going to be activity around. That was when we saw his mood and confidence change. And clearly that's when they were honing in and just putting together their arrest plans, getting that probable cause affidavit written up, getting it to a judge, doing all the machinations that are required to make an arrest.
You've been part of countless FBI investigations, Jennifer. We're going to get to your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJennifer. Following them now, folks. I'm keeping an eye on our YouTube Live, Facebook Live comment section, keeping an eye on Twitter as well. I do a lot of multitasking here when we're live on stream, so I'm keeping a very close eye on your comments, and I see a bunch coming in. Juan, Veronica, Janice, Deborah, Michelle. We're going to get to your questions. We're going to be adding them to the queue if they have hashtag HeyJennifer or hashtag HeyJB. But can you paint the picture, Jennifer, to me? And I can't help but have a bit of a smile on my face because what it must be like in that room when you get that break. All of a sudden, I mean, for weeks, you're talking about just endless amounts of blood, sweat, and tears being put into this investigation. And you're thinking, my goodness, are we really going to get that break? I mean, I'm sure that there's more hope in some corners of the room than others. And some people might be just trying to will themselves and motivate themselves by saying that we have hope. We are going to get the person responsible for this. But what is it like in the room when you and your team find out, okay, this might be it. This might be the break we've been waiting for. We're on to something here.
Oh, JB, it's, you don't want to say it makes you elated or happy because you're talking about the murder of 4 innocents. But it's a conclusion of, it's a conclusion of one part of the investigation and the restart of a new. I like how he put that. It is elating to realize your fruits as law enforcement have come together and that you're able to bring something to this family in terms of closure. There is no more rewarding of a profession, at least just in my opinion, than to be a law enforcement officer and be able to put people like Mr. Kohlberger before a judge and before trial and to bring someone to justice. No greater feeling.
I can only imagine. I've never been in law enforcement, but I've spoken to just so many individuals in the field and understanding what goes into it and understanding what the men and women and what our proud law enforcement community members go through behind the scenes to bring justice to the cases that we care about and the cases that don't get as much exposure. Just learning more and more from yourself, from so many others, Jennifer. It's that's why I always have to ask that question, what it is like when you find out that you are on the path to justice. Again, here in the Stream Center, we're going to be getting to your comments and your questions coming in as well. I'll bring up this question. Elise is cool, says #KJB. His nose looks broken.
That was one thing I will say. Yes, the families were supposedly notified late last night that an arrest was being, this was all being underway. And the families, I know, were really upset with law enforcement. They've spoken out and stuff, but I hope I can't even imagine what they're going through. All of them, law enforcement, the families, the friends, all of the people that have been accused. So many people are owed apologies publicly from so many of these crazy people, but it'll never happen.
Do you think that the defensive wounds has led to his nose being broken? And I've seen too many of this to really to put to ignore this. And I'm always responding to our comments, and I try to keep things rooted in reality here. There is a bit of a curvature to his nose, without question. I think so much has been made, Jennifer, of his eyes and really the stare, and whether or not, I'm going to ask you too, whether or not you think that if that's a big deal, little deal, or no deal as far as the stare that we get from these mugshots, because sometimes a lot is made about that stare and other times it's not as big of a deal. But in this case, all anyone is talking about is this cold stare that he possesses. And then also too about
I want to show you guys something right quick. Hold on just a minute. Let me go back to my screen for a minute. Let me take my camera on for a moment. Yes, I have my smoking jacket on. Does anybody know who that is? Do you guys remember who this is? And yes, it's from Wikipedia, but it's legit. He's older now, so he doesn't quite look that way. But hold on. Let me find a picture of him when he was younger. Do you guys know who that is? Anybody? That's Joseph Edward Duncan. Joseph Edward Duncan was who kidnapped and murdered. No, that's Joseph Edward Duncan. He is who, have you guys heard of the Shasta Groney, Dylan Groney and the Groney family from northern Idaho. So this took place right outside of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, at a place called Wolf Lodge. There was a home out there. This was from, yeah, this is who he actually, I think he died last year. Shasta's story is really sad. Oh, dog barking. Sorry. Let me show you guys that again. That's who he looks like to me. Okay, let me switch back to this.
Look, curvatures and noses, that is not all that uncommon. So there's nothing to state that he had some sort of, facial fracture of some kind, or if there are any injuries. But look, if he did have any injuries from that night, from November 13th, that there's a good chance, there's a lengthy amount of time, really almost 7 weeks, for those injuries to heal.
Right. And remember, the exact words used by law enforcement were defensive wounds, or the coroner, both of them. So defensive is like this. This is defensive. This is defensive. We didn't hear anything about a struggle, the normal vernacular you would use to describe a fight. These kids were sound asleep in the wee hours of the morning after having had a full day and a full night of activity. They were laying there, and from somebody who's been attacked, when I was conscious, it happens so fast. And they were sound asleep as somebody is coming up with a knife. People keep saying, well, why didn't anybody hear anything? This is so intense. And so, the life was within minutes drawn out of these poor kids. And, so back to the eyes though, JB.
Yep.
I will say it's a matter of opinion.
Let me show you guys a picture of that guy again, just because some people are like, huh, who is that? Okay, so let me go back to this over here. If you want to learn more about him, there's like tons of articles. This was a big deal. He actually maintained a blog off death row when he was on death row. Complete creep. He killed an entire family. The girl got away. She was found at Denny's. That's a horrible story. She was found in Coeur d'Alene. But that's who he looks like to me. That's the same look. The eyes. It's the eyes again, though. It's the eyes. Okay, back to this.
And I'll give you my opinion.
Sure.
I can't think of one person who's committed crimes like this that doesn't have empty eyes. I actually pointed it out on Twitter at very early this morning when I saw his shot here, this exact shot. Look at those eyes. They have an emptiness. There's no aliveness, no feeling. It's like staring into, a black marble. That's how I see it. People may say, oh, that really doesn't matter. That isn't proof of anything. We're not talking about proof. We are talking about something that is consistent with these people who commit crimes like this.
Yeah, and look, there's so many factors that could come into play, such as just poor lighting in correctional facilities across the country, or just how sometimes it's a look of surprise because you're waiting for them to press the the shutter button to actually take the photo. You could go, you could, but there have been way too many cases like this where people note how dead somebody can appear in their eyes and how just absent of life they can appear. So there's certainly something to that, because we see that time and time again from people who get arrested for heinous crimes. I brought up Taylor's comment again, hashtag HeyJB or hashtag HeyJennifer, and we can animate your comments on screen. Check out his WSU photo. His nose is curved in that photo as well. So I know that his student photo is making the rounds around the internet. I don't have the rights to that photo at this time. Otherwise, I would display it. But people noting that curvature, that slight curvature, I guess we could call it slight, is still there, and that is, obviously before the date of November 13th. Let's get to some other questions, comments. Jay wants to know, hashtag HeyJB, is there any available?
According to the stats online, he is 6 foot tall, 185 pounds. He has a taller, slender build. It's interesting too, if you do look up Joseph Edward Duncan, look at his ties with NDSU. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't doing the criminal stuff, but he was doing research developer, software developing, computer science department, and took some classes and other stuff. And they said he had his professors convinced that he was okay. This other guy that I was showing you that looks like him, like there's a lot of similarities here that just make the skin on the back of my head stand up, the hair on the back of my head. I don't know anything about those, the Kool-Aid. I've never used them. I don't ever use anything like that. Yes. So supposedly he has a master's from DeSales, and he was in the PhD program at WSU. That's what we were talking about, is I would love to see his previous papers that he wrote, and any of the projects he worked on. I would love to see. Yeah, his IQ is very high. Very interesting.
Connection that we have learned between Brian and the victims. Hashtag for you as well, Jennifer. And look, that was the big question that was asked. Is there what connection, what evidence, what do investigators have? I wasn't surprised. I'm sure that you weren't surprised, Jennifer, when we kept getting the same, blanket response on almost every question. We can't say anything that would compromise an ongoing investigation. But you almost got the feeling that Chief Fry wanted to say more. Like he knows all the details, obviously. He's the gatekeeper for information, as is his colleagues with Moscow, Idaho police. But as far as you could tell, he wanted to give us more, and he can't, because can you imagine the outrage from Idaho and beyond if he gave out something that compromises the legal process? Look, silence is part of the equation right now. And that's just, it's a tough pill to swallow, because people have been waiting for weeks for this day and for this to actually become reality. But in reality, we knew that we weren't going to get all that much. In fact, the information that we did get, and the fact that they took questions, to me, I'm still somewhat surprised. They had several officials come to the podium and take their turn speaking on the case from various different perspectives and various different perspectives and agencies. But the fact they took questions, look, I was surprised and also glad to see it, because of how many people have questions out there.
Well, and remember, JB, and a lot of people want to indict this police chief for his poor communication. He hired, which I thought was brilliant, very early on with some of that $1 million funding, a company to help with how to communicate, how to do your press releases. And I think this is a true mark of probably that company's advice to involve the audience, to involve these reporters. Even if he wasn't going to be able to answer his questions, at least it showed a sign of giving them a platform to ask them so the audience could hear the question.
My phone is going crazy. And I am very well aware that, and look, this is part of live streaming, that right now there is a massive effort underway by sleuths, and I'll just call them wannabe sleuths, as far as digging into the history of Brian Kohberger, talking to those who claim to know him, or maybe you went to high school with him. There's going to be so much focus now that we have an official name, we have an official arrest, and there's going to be so much prodding into not just his inner circle, but anyone who has any fringe connection to his outer circle. anyone who has claimed to have a cup of coffee with Brian Kohberger is going to come forward and speak. And look, we have a process. I want to make this clear as far as the media. And this is what countless news reporters and producers right now for various networks and stations across the country. Now the game goes into an arena where we are, validating the credibility of somebody who claims to be this person's, ex or stepbrother or stepsister or cousin or.
Now comes everybody out of the woodwork. Absolutely. This is just going to be, and you know that these guys are going to be running to try and dig into every association and call all of them. JLR, I expect to see with some weird ass phone call to somebody probably at their job, asking them some inappropriate questions and recording them and putting it on YouTube. Ugh, these people.
Second cousin twice removed. So I understand that there's so much information, so many claims out there, but this is the hour or hours where everyone has to be extremely careful about what they believe on social media, because anyone is going to come forward and claim that this is, so-and-so person, or he did so-and-so this, or I knew that he was in this so-and-so city on this day and time. Look, there is going to be a process, and the best reporters and the best producers and the best news outlets are going to be going through a very strenuous process to be right rather than be first. And we really want to make that clear that this process is now starting. But just like we have learned over the course of this process, Jennifer, you have to be very careful what you read on social media, because everyone's just trying to generate a click. Everyone's trying to get a view. Everyone's trying to get a name for themselves and be the person who broke this news or that. And I'm not discrediting anything going out on social media right now, but we have to take it with a grain of salt when it's this new and this much in its infancy.
I totally agree. We need to touch on JB, what happened to Jack D, what happened to Jack S, what happened to the roommates. They were absolutely assaulted, indicted, convicted in social media, even as recently as yesterday.
Yeah. JB. Yes. I love JB. JB is right on. Yep. Revival. 100% allow the detectives to figure this out, Tallulah. I agree. Yep. Back off and let them. And they all are owed. You know what? Not only are they owed apologies, but in my opinion, quite a few of these true crime creators have jumped over major boundaries and deserve charges. Like, freedom of speech is not free of consequence from what you say. Let's be very clear on that. Even for me, I have to be mindful that my words can and do at times impact other people. People say, oh, it's just words, it's no big deal. We have freedom of speech. Bullshit. This is social media. This is around forever. These are young kids. This will be on social media forever. Bullshit. They need to suffer consequences for their actions, in my opinion. They deserve what they get, just like Penelope does. Just giving you a shout out because I know you're in the bushes because you're obsessed. Okay, let's go back to this.
No one could or would believe law enforcement when they said they don't believe they're part of this case. And, many people said, well, that doesn't really mean anything. Nobody really ever wants to seem to take law enforcement at their word, but they're giving their word. Even when they said they didn't have a suspect, I truly believe this broke for them a couple of days ago from all we've seen and all we know now. So I agree with you, Jay.
Let's say this, even if they did have a suspect, even if they did, that is not just needed to be released. There's a whole process to this. making sure that it's done right. So even if they did tell the public, no, we don't have any suspects, well, they did, so be it. These people have become so entitled, it's unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Yeah, exactly. They get away with it so far. Miss Lee, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I love heels. I have to go watch their video. Okay, let me continue this because this is just, yeah. And hasn't she been a part of a bunch of speculation and misinformation in the past? Am I wrong on who she is? I thought she was one that was a part of a bunch of misinformation being put out previously. I just love how they all sit up here and point fingers at each other when one of them, this might not be the case that they're being messy on, but the last one they were being messy on. It seems like that's a lot of this. And maybe she isn't one that was, but I swore there was something problematic with her. That's why I was questioning who she was before. But maybe I'm wrong. They all start mixing together. The lynch mobs need to stop. Think about that. 19,000 tips, 300 interviews. 19,000. Heels on the ground. Cooley, did you get one published?
JB, we got to be careful because so many things are going to be said that aren't going to have any basis of true fact. Some will have fact, but much will not.
And that is part of the process, and a process that is currently underway. And I'm telling you, oh, hold on a sec. We got a live interview. Let's listen.
State of Idaho, and he's been arraigned, and those documents begin to become public. A lot of that information will come out.
Are there any indications about the extradition right now? Is he fighting it? Or do you expect him back in Idaho soon?
Well, I believe Bill Thompson mentioned that he does have a court date next week. I think we have a holiday, so it could be Tuesday. I'm not for sure, but then we'll know more after that court date on how that's going to proceed.
And can you address whether the victims ever knew or had any interaction with Mr. Coburger?
So, like Chief Fry said, we're still investigating this. We're still trying to paint that picture and find out more of the answers to the questions that we all have. And so now that we know who this suspect is, that's why we would like the public's help in any information that they have involving this individual can help us potentially answer some of those questions as we continue this investigation.
Can you elaborate on the search for a murder weapon?
Certainly what I can tell you on the search, okay? We have issued and executed search warrants in the residence that he was located at in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
We have located and are searching a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra.
Mm-hmm.
We had search warrants executed at his residence and place of work in Washington State, and those are still active and a part of the investigation.
His workplace is?
I'm sorry?
His workplace?
Correct, his office, I believe.
Okay. And I guess, the scene. How long, because the remediation was stopped this morning.
Correct.
And because the court ordered it. Do we know, why? Is that the court in Pennsylvania or a court here?
I believe that was a local court. And it was just one of those timing things that had worked out where it was very last minute. We got notification that court said we need to halt. And so that's what occurred. And that's why you folks saw that it was just about to begin and then we had to halt it. So I don't have a timeline on when that remediation may pick back up or how that's going to go. That was fresh to us today.
Where is the 2015 Elantra?
I can't give out that information. I can just say that we did recover it and we do have a search warrant for that vehicle.
That was a big piece of information right there. Right there. He just said they do have the Hyundai Elantra and it has been recovered. Hold on. One of the dogs wants it. These bossy little shits. Oh, what are you doing, Chloe? Am I not paying attention to you? Yeah, Kool-Aid. We need your link to your new channel. Thank you. Elle, I've done that. I've done that before. I've said that before myself. Yeah, I'm interested, but he just said that it's interesting before they said N Elantra, and now he said they have recovered it. Let's go back.
So has it been processed or?
It's being certainly. Certainly the what I can tell you on the search, okay, we have issued and executed search warrants in the residence that he was located at in Pennsylvania. We have located and are searching a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra. We had search warrants executed at his residence and place of work in Washington State, and those are still active and a part of the investigation.
His workplace is?
I'm sorry?
His workplace?
Correct, his office, I believe.
Okay. And I guess, the scene. How long, because the remediation was stopped this morning.
Correct.
And because the court ordered it. Do we know, I mean, why? Is that the court in Pennsylvania or a court here?
I believe that was a local court. And it was just one of those timing things that had worked out where it was very last minute. We got notification that court said we need to halt. And so that's what occurred. And that's why you folks saw that it was just about to begin and then we had to halt it. So I don't have a timeline on when that remediation may pick back up or how that's going to go. That was fresh to us today.
Where is the 2015 Elantra?
I can't give out that information. I can just say that we did recover it and we do have a search warrant for that vehicle.
So has it been processed or?
It's being processed.
It's being processed now. Can you tell me if it's in Idaho?
Again, I can't speak to where it is, but we have recovered it and we have a search warrant for it. We are executing that and searching that vehicle.
And is it the Elantra that you were searching for?
As the investigation continues, that's part of that puzzle that we're trying to piece together.
Okay. And then what do you want the rest of America?
Okay, so they're still being cleared that they found an Elantra. They executed a search warrant on this white Honda Hyundai, not Honda, Hyundai. And they are hoping that it is, of course, the car. It seems like they're pretty confident in that, but they're being pretty careful of what they're using for lingo on that, I'm assuming. Is that right? Everybody else get that too? That they're just being a little bit more careful with how they're saying it? $2015, is that what they said? So would that mean that it would have the GPS information maybe? Cupcake, really? That's what they're saying is he's vegan? That's interesting that that's what they're going to publish about it. Mocus.
To know, I guess, that stress for patients.
Certainly, we just want to stress the fact that we understand that throughout this whole ordeal that people have been seeking answers and wanting information, and that we've been holding our cards close to our chest, as it were. However, it's for a reason, and the reason is, as Chief Fry said, we wanted to protect the case in its entirety, and also potentially not tip off the potential suspect and lose that.
And yet, we heard that you're still seeking information about Brian Koberger here.
Certainly. Now that we know we have a suspect, we have someone who is facing charges in these crimes, any and all information we can gather on this individual will be helpful to our case.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, we will unwire you.
Mhm.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
So I believe that was the sheriff there speaking and getting some. They are saying that it is the Hyundai Elantra without saying it is the Hyundai Elantra. They're getting right there on the cusp of saying that it is the car without saying that it is the car, that they have the car. It's going to be put through the process of examining it. And look, and by what we are led to believe right now, it appears to be the car, but we can't say definitively that it is the car. It's part of just what we have to do in the media as far as making sure that we are not misrepresenting information from law enforcement officials. Jennifer, you know better than most as to what I'm talking about.
Can I just give him a shout out once again? This is journalism. This is investigative journalism, what JB is doing. And he absolutely takes his job seriously. And I appreciate it so much because he keeps speaking to, people saying this and we can't say that and we shouldn't be saying this and we shouldn't be doing that. I absolutely love it. Bye, Kool-Aid. Hey, Kool-Aid. You're a part of my clip channel review, but I don't have any clips because your channel's gone, but I'm going to still do a whole Kool-Aid part. Okay. Join us tomorrow if you have time. I'm doing my review of my clip channels that I like. The actual good cool clip channels. I love JB. Yes, it is so nice to have somebody reporting with integrity. He keeps going back to that. And that's what, they, like he said, they get right up to it and say, this is what I think, but they don't jump over that line. I love it. It's so refreshing to hear somebody talk like this.
Back here on
Real
stream.
quick, Tricky.
Yeah.
Did you catch that he said, maybe I misunderstood it. I thought he said 2015.
Well, no, I don't think I heard 2015.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood.
Or no, hold on. I'll ask because I was tapping into some various feeds and I was trying to multitask, but I thought I heard hold on. I'll ask our audience. Did we hear 2015 or did we hear a different model year? Because of course we have.
Audience is great.
What did you guys hear? Because I heard 2015. I don't know where I heard it, but I swear that was just what he said. Burnt toast is fabulous. Yes.
The audience is our audience is on it. That's why I love doing what I do, because we have such a great audience on all of our various social media comment sections. Yeah, no, everyone's saying you're right, Jennifer. 2015. Now, is there a chance that the model year was wrong? That it was because they initially said a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra.
And this really catches my attention because I was surprised how long it took the FBI, because that was an FBI tasking across the field offices to utilize our analytical resources to do the painstaking look of registrations, go through them one by one, and then contact those individuals and trace down 22,000 Elantras. If they had the wrong year all this time, and we're really looking for a 2015, well, no wonder it took the Bureau a little bit longer than we would have all expected. Yep. So either this individual misspoke or we've got an answer as to why the FBI took so long to track down 22,000, which I would have guessed would have been a much shorter time frame.
So I'm bringing up my computer screen here, a little Google search, if you will, of what a 2015 Hyundai Elantra looks like compared to, let's say, 2011, 2012, 2013. Now, look, they're pretty similar. The body style is extremely, extremely similar. And, we have to just go based on the.
Oh, that's way close. That's way close. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so you guys heard the same thing as I did. Okay, thank you. He had 60. Yeah, he's great. They're so similar. They only had videos. Yeah, it would be really hard to tell, but that's very similar. Okay. I was questioning that too. I was like, wait.
Idea that they don't have great video evidence in their possession that suggests that they know the exact model year. Otherwise they would have said this is the model year. The fact they put out a model year range tells us that they have an idea as to what the car looked like. It sounded like they were pretty confident that it's a white Hyundai Elantra, but they were not confident in the model year. So if you look here, this is the 2015. Let's change this to let's go right in the middle. 2012 Hyundai Elantra. And look, it's extraordinarily similar, if not the exact same body type. I'm sure there are micro characteristics of the actual build of the car that make it a little bit different. Wheels, trim, various things that you can point to. But if it is a 2015, you're
Major difference. What I noticed right there between the 12 and the 15 is that bottom headlight, not the main headlight, but I think they're called running lights or whatever. I don't even know if they actually work. But on the 15, that's a light. On the 12, it looks like it's just more like a plastic with some sort of, I don't know if that's aftermarket either on some of those cars. It's hard to say. Yeah, 2017 looks really close to it too. Yeah. It does, Safari. Ooh, I hope that can help them. It'll be interesting because that had to, if they found the car in Pennsylvania, like is being alleged, he drove it from Idaho, Washington, across country. That might actually, it's an option on that model. That might give some good intel for those, which will be part of their search warrant stuff. That car might have a lot of clues in it.
You're right. That perhaps was something investigators go, oh my goodness, no wonder we couldn't cross-reference to Brian Kohberger weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. He could have also just plainly misspoke. But I want to comment right here on this Elantra. I believe they have the Elantra. And I'll tell you why. Because a judge has signed off on a search warrant for them to search that Elantra, and they had to show that it was related to this crime. They had to show probable cause of that, or they couldn't search the Elantra. So I'm going out on a limb right now, JB, since he confirmed the search warrant of the Elantra, that would be the Elantra in question.
Sounds like 2 + 2 = 4, Jennifer. And sometimes you get thrown a curveball, but that certainly is the way that it's shaping up. So if it is,
JB's like, and here it goes again with more speculation. No, she's right on the whole thing of like, they have to have a probable a probable cause affidavit to get a warrant, so on and so forth. And they had to be able to show that this was something that they were looking into. But there's still a lot of gray area there. There are fog lights on that front. It's part of the upgrade package. Okay. Interesting. Some will have lights, some won't. It's an option. So it's like the basic model versus the upgraded model. You worked for a GPS service for years. That Safari, that's really interesting. I would have, he covered a lot of cross-country trek if he drove back 20, between 2,500 and 2,700 miles. Cupcakes, that'll be interesting to find. What if isn't there tolls? Can you avoid? Here's where I don't know anything about it, because the only tolls I've ever really seen are like Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, over there. I don't know shit about tolls besides one in Seattle. Would he have been able to avoid tolls on any of these routes to get back to Pennsylvania? Would they, granted there's license plate cameras right outside a lot of Shit, he might have came right through here. If he went interstate. I-15. They should be able to track down his travel dates, I'm assuming. Onboard computer chips. Me too, Rebecca. I'm really thinking. Yeah, there's not really trolls here at all. Oh, tolls. Trolls. I thought you said tolls. Trolls. Pennsylvania has tolls. He can. Okay. Depends on if he takes the turnpike or not. By back roads. So he could have definitely avoided tolls. Northern Ohio and Pennsylvania have tolls. Okay. But probably if you know your way around, yeah, between traffic cameras though too, it would be really interesting to find out. That would be really interesting. Yeah, I would think so too, but that's a cross country, like whole cross country trip and many different routes. I mean, he could have gone very interesting. I'm really excited to learn more. Cupcakes, the toll thing is so weird here. Yes, there is traffic cameras and license plate readers in a lot of the different states. I think in all the states there are. He's on camera somewhere. He had to get gas, right? There's absolutely no way. That car's not electric, right? Give you different options. Okay, for the tolls. Yes, cupcakes. They put a search warrant out for that. He had to have gotten gas. He had to have ate. He's on camera somewhere, so they'll be able to lock down like exactly when he traveled, I'm assuming, if they already don't know.
Is 2015. Perhaps that is a massive clue as to perhaps a massive clue as to why this is, and we'll find out more over the course of the coming hours, coming days. I want to make this clear too. On social media, folks, you can send me information on Facebook, on Instagram. I think Instagram, I'm usually able to respond best. Just because it's the messaging platform there is just a little bit more easy for me to respond to more people over a short period of time. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitter DMs, all that kind of stuff. Or if you use hashtag HJB in our comment section. But right now, considering that we have more than 100,000 people watching across all platforms, it's very difficult for me to see that one comment that might actually be something I need to be looking at. So let's go back to the comment section and Jennifer, I know I only have another 5 minutes with you, so feel free. Yeah.
No, I was just going to comment on this process so everybody understands the extradition process. So he's arrested in Pennsylvania and they actually have to go through a court hearing. And I think back to this, is he cooperating? Did he speak at all?
Another thing I was just thinking of when I had it paused, sorry, kind of off track, but they'll be looking for ATM withdrawals anytime he's used a debit or a credit card over the last however many days since the time all of his purchases, probably before this incident. So maybe they'll be able to learn like his route that way too. I mean, he could have, of course, gone and pulled out cash. He could have pulled out cash previous to this. There'll be so many different things now that they have a person in custody that they're looking at. Now they'll be able to piece all this stuff together. I'm really interested to find out some of these. Lots of house cameras. Has anybody seen any more confirmation or any more information on the neighbor being actually related, or is that still speculation? I'm assuming it's still speculation.
They wouldn't confirm that, but Brian Inton reported it, so I feel very confident that it was said. If he waives his extradition and goes back, that at least shows some semblance of cooperation. If he doesn't waive it, they're going to have a hearing, and there's going to be a lot of information that comes out because they've got to show in a court the probable cause involved as to why he should stand for charges in the venue in Idaho. So I'll find that to be very interesting, whether they just say, hey, just I'll be extradited back, or whether Mr. Kohlberger says, no, let's see what you got.
I'd like to thank Jennifer Koffendorfer for joining us on stream. Jennifer, we're about to pivot to some new stuff coming in, but really quickly before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just want to thank you for having me, and I appreciate it. And it's a good day today.
Thank you. Jennifer Koffendorfer, follow her on Twitter, retired FBI agent, always tweeting out a lot of great nuggets and useful information. Jennifer, always appreciate it. I'm sure I'll talk to you off stream.
Yes. Bye, JB.
All right. Take care, Jennifer. All right. Back with you here on live stream, folks. And we do have more guests lined up. Don't go anywhere. But I want to show this to you because this is just coming in from Brian Enton's Twitter, and he has arrived at the property. So this is from Brian Enton, our pal on Twitter. And Brian is at the suspect's residence, where, as we understand it, the arrest transpired earlier today. And so with the suspect being taken into custody, you can see that there's clearly police tape still up around the property. I talked to Brian Enton earlier. I think that there were a lot of people asking.
Wait, that's his apartment in Pennsylvania? Or is that, oh, my dog's, she's, can you guys hear? She's streaming. And she's like going nuts. Sorry. I thought that was the house in Washington. Maybe I'm confused. Hold on. Let's go a little further because I'm confused now. I thought Brian was headed to Pennsylvania. This must be the Pennsylvania house because he was headed to Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, Truth, too. Okay, you guys are on the same wavelength as I am. This is what the apartment in Washington looked like. I think this is footage of the Washington apartment. Maybe he clears that up. Let's let it go a little further. But right now, I don't necessarily think this is Pennsylvania. I think this is Washington, but I could be wrong. Let's see what he says.
Asking for Brian to join us on this live stream. And Brian, of course, always is wanting to join, but he was heading to Pennsylvania. News Nation sent him promptly to Pennsylvania. And as far as when we started our live stream, he was in the air. And so he just arrived at the Kohlberger property. And this is what you're looking at here. And snow on the ground.
Hold up. Did you guys see the lady with the beanie right there out front? Let me go back to that just a second.
Twitter. And
I know it's hard to see from here, but isn't that Betty? This is Washington. He was arrested in Pennsylvania. He was arrested at his home, at some place in Pennsylvania. This is his apartment in Washington State. I'm positive. Yeah, it's Washington. This is Washington. That's Blowhorn Betty out front. I'm positive of it. Is she not in a black sweatshirt with a beanie on again? Didn't she go straight over to out front of his house? I'm positive this is Washington. Yeah, and I'm positive that right there is Betty.
And Brian is at the suspect's residence, where, as we understand it, the arrest transpired earlier today. And so with the suspect being taken into custody, you can see that there's clearly police tape still up around the property. I talked to Brian Enton earlier. I think that there were a lot of people asking for Brian to join us.
That's 100% Betty. That's absolutely Betty. She's in a black coat. Her hair is down. That's Betty. This is Washington. So he's confused. He's got him backwards. So Brian is on his way to Pennsylvania, but this is footage from outside the apartment in Washington of the suspect.
on this live stream. And Brian, of course, always is wanting to join, but he was heading to Pennsylvania. News Nation sent him promptly to Pennsylvania. And as far as when we started our live stream, he was in the air. And so he just arrived at the Kohberger property.
I'm positive right there that's Betty. Positive that's Betty. She's got a tripod in her hand. The blonde hair, the black jacket. I'm positive that's her. She went and streamed out front of his apartment. I bet that's her still. Yeah, it's an old phone booth. Yeah.
And this is what you're looking at here. And snow on the ground. You can see that there's police tape up. I'm sure to Brian's right, near the front of the property, I'm sure that there is just an army of media. I would imagine that reporters are now breaking it for this location, and they've already been there. Look, I'm sure that many have been there for some time, but this is the first video that's coming in that I can show you here on this live stream, showing you the residence where this all transpired. Again, a short time ago. So back here with you on live stream. What I'd like to do now is focus in on some of the questions and comments as we wait for our next guest to come in. Let's go to the most current comments that are coming in. I wanted to ask Jennifer this question, Studio 10. Do you think that he had an accomplice? Look, as far as the possibility of there being an accomplice of some kind, there's this question, and then there's also, is there anybody that was aware? Was there anyone? I mean, look, of course, this is a massive question, and I'm not going to speculate as to whether or not there were more than one person involved here. I think that you can take the comments of the community is safe from the police department and from James Fry as, look, the community is safe, and we believe that we have the person responsible for these murders. But as far as an accomplice, or again, kind of jump off of that, is there any chance that Brian here told somebody, or was there somebody who had information that didn't come forward? That is also too a massive part of the equation now, as far as
I'm going to show you guys this. I'm 100% right on this being Betty. Hold on. Let me get my screen. That's Washington. That's Betty out there. Oh, hold on. Siri, knock it off.
Jason Kohberger's home. Many people are stating that he is Emily's brother. I don't have confirmation of that. So I am going to let you guys know that that's what's going around, that Emily is...
It's 8.4 miles from place to place. Those universities are 10 miles apart. So Pullman, Washington they're 9 minutes apart, y'all. That's why we've talked about those being so close. Two big universities being that close. But that's her outside of his house that we just saw on JV's stream. That's 100% her.
Sister to the gentleman, but I have not confirmed that. So we're going to take that as rumor.
It's definitely the apartment. Thank you. The truth. Okay. I was like, that's got to be. I'm positive it is, because that's, okay.
Look, because I think that
Oops.
It's fair to say that we are very, very, very fortunate that we didn't have a second incident, potentially, again, with what we know at this particular time, that we didn't have another murder incident on our hands in relation to the weeks that have been spent trying to track down a potential killer here, as far as the man on the right side of your screen. But if somebody had information and didn't come forward with information, look, that
B-Ferg's good catch. I just re-listened to that myself when it was on mute, because I was like, did she really say Jason? His name is Brian, but Betty did just call him Jason. Yes. Yeah, Saucy, nobody knows really what she's doing there. Yeah, but that's her out there in front of his house, of course. Craziness. I was like, I can point out that train wreck in a heartbeat.
has to be thoroughly investigated. So whether or not, if we do have the person responsible for the quadruple stabbing deaths of the 4 University of Idaho students, if we have to look into whether or not, what is the timeline that exists between November 13th and today, that being December 30th, really the end of the year. From November 13th to the end of the year, police have to put together a timeline of where he was, who he talked to, and whether or not there was anybody else that could have come forward with information to make this a more speedy process as far as apprehending him, but they weren't able to. They have to do a thorough investigation. So, studio, I don't know, but this is a big part of where the investigation goes. It's not just what he is alleged to have done on November 13th and what led up to that. It's a before, during, and after investigation. You have to find out before what he was up to and whether or not, look, is this the stalker that Kaylee had mentioned? Is this the stalker that had given her, made her weary for her own safety and make her mention it to those in her loved ones, those in her inner circle? Is that's part of the before. As far as the during, what was the motive? Why are 4 dead and not 6? So many questions pertaining to the exact overnight hours as to when the crime is alleged to have occurred. And then also to the after. What happened to Brian in the hours, days, and weeks after November 13th that led him to be able to make it as far as really home? Pennsylvania, Monroe County, Albrightsville, which is a name that we're going to have to, remember. Destiny McKinley, #KJB, what type of evidence do
I hate to ask this, but I have a question. I want to know what your guys' take on this is. Let me go back up here. Do you think he's been watching it all along? For some reason, I cannot shake the fact that he has been enjoying all of the craziness online. And what are the chances? Do you remember all those crazy posts that were being posted on Twitter and other places on those weird accounts that were popping up? Do you think that was just random trolls, or do you think that was what do you guys know about that? What are your guys' thoughts on that? I'm really curious. Yeah, she needs some fingerless gloves. Yeah, I can only imagine. Lorraine, yep. I feel like he's been watching. Yeah. There was a lot of weird accounts that were posting really weird stuff in the beginning of this, and it was just really, there was odd, but I think it's becoming more the truth. I've wondered about that. Mocus. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really interested I'm very interested to see how this plays out, like what all evidence, because I have a feeling they've said that they've known, that there's been a lot of sleepless nights in the last few days working up to this. So they've been working on this for a while. Now that it's released, I bet the amount of evidence, I hope, is overwhelming. I hope it really is. Yeah, there seems to be. Saucy, I'm not sure if I know exactly which post you're talking about. There's been a lot of weird posts surrounding this case, in my opinion. Let's finish watching some of this. By the way, does anybody have a place called the Flake Pie Company? Has anybody ever heard of the Flake Pie Company? Just random thought. I got to know if anybody has heard of them, if they're good. In all fairness, how could you not follow it if you did something like this, thinking you were going to get away with it? Yeah, L, true. Nobody has one? I wonder if it's just a local thing to me. Hold on. Maybe I should look at that. Oh, it looks so good. They're all like these little tiny individual pies. Oh, they look so good. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what they're like because I just ordered some. So we're about to find out. Okay. I don't know anything about 4chan, to be honest. I don't touch it, but I've seen stuff from there. And that's what some of the posts were really, really weird. Mocha's same. They're little miniature pies. Oh, you want to know what I got? Hold on. I got a pie combo, which consists of Granny Smith apples roasted with brown sugar and cinnamon and glazed lattice crust, a key lime with graham cracker crust, whipped cream, and lime zest. And my favorite is a banana cream with flaky butter crust with torch meringue frosting. It's Friday. I feel like eating sweets right now. So I decided to try it. I haven't even ate dinner, but I ordered desserts. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't even eat sweets, but I just had a kick when we were sitting here and I'm like, I need something sweet. I'll show you guys when they come. Amethyst, yes. That's exactly. There is Mocha's, right? We're about to find out what he's been responsible for. No brownies. Not yet, Elle. It's too early for that. But soon. I'll probably save these for after brownies. And then this. Oh, beef and burgundy. No. That's right. You guys call them different things. Okay, let's continue on this. Sorry, I got distracted, but I've never heard of it. So
Do you think they would have had to be able to get a judge to sign off on an arrest warrant? Well, look, we're hearing that DNA is a component. CNN reporting from law enforcement sources that there is a DNA component, and that is 9 times out of 10. I don't want to say 9 times out of 10, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. That is going to be enough for a judge to sign an arrest warrant when you have, look, if you have the vehicle and you have DNA evidence, those two together, plus I'm sure a lot of X factors that we're the public completely unaware of at this time, I'm sure that is going to be enough to get a judge to sign off on an arrest warrant, make sure that they can do a thorough execution of the search warrant to look at his residence to try to find the weapon. But the fact that they don't have the arrest weapon, or excuse me, the murder weapon at the house, and they've been looking through the house as of right now, look, that's going to be a storyline that we're going to have to follow and continue to ask about. A lot of text messages coming in. Just our next guest. Hold on. I'm trying to get our next guest in here. Our next guest is going to be Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, to talk about some of the legalities here and what this
Oh, you guys okay with watching this part with the lawyer? Are we okay? Everybody doing okay? I like his reporting. He doesn't bore me. And I'm really interested to see what their legal expert has to say so far. Everybody good with that? Yeah, I don't think they necessarily need the weapon. I mean, it would be great if they could find it, but I think it's highly unlikely if it was across. I mean, there's just so many probabilities here. Very high IQ. Lorraine, I think is okay. Good. Yes, Pirate Girl. I hope EDB weighs. I don't think she touches stuff like this though, as far as like the criminal stuff. I don't know if she does unless with active cases, does she? With criminal cases? I know she does a lot of celebrity stuff, but I haven't really seen her do. Focus, agreed. But I can't even say that I get serial killer vibes from him, to be honest. I feel like he's one of these ones that feels like he could have gotten away with the perfect crime. Like he thinks he's outsmarting. I don't know. That's just my take on it so far. Ooh, saucy. I'm hoping these are good. They look good. They look really good. Oh, T, you like Peter? I don't know who he is. Okay, let's continue. I'm going to put you guys on pause and walk outside. And I've had my smoking jacket on for like 30 minutes now, 45 minutes, and I haven't made it outside. So I'm going to actually go outside because now I'm getting hot. Oh, I bet they've tracked him longer than 4 days, to be honest. I bet as soon as they honed in on that car and figured out, oh, wait, this is the car, I bet those profilers, I bet they know more about this kid, this guy, than he's not a kid, he's 28. But I bet they know more about him than he ever thought was possible. American Psycho movie vibes, yeah. Wait, what? Apple pie with melted cheddar cheese on top? I've never heard that. I've never heard cheese on apple pie. Yeah, I'm really excited, Mochas, to hear like all the evidence that they have, to be honest. I bet they have a lot. I hope they do.
Process looks like from this point forward. So everyone just give me a second. We'll welcome you into the WFLA Now Stream Center and let you know that we are, of course, always on the lookout for your questions, your comments. For those of you who have been, extremely patient with us, we are doing our very best right now to try to get to as many questions and comments as possible and trying to go through some of the newer ones that we have received, because let me remind our audience that we always get the same questions over and over again. What is the motive? Is there any connection? Okay. We're working on getting Peter zoomed in here, folks. Stand by. All right. Peter will be here with us momentarily. Let's go to Nancy Liu, News Nation.
Being processed now. Another takeaway from this news conference, no murder weapon has been recovered. But as we heard, search warrants are being executed now, and perhaps we'll find out soon. I also asked about the extradition process. Do we know if Mr. Kohberger is going to fight extradition back to Idaho? Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. He is due in court in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, and we should find out then whether he's going to fight extradition or wind up back here in Idaho sometime soon. We also understand that he was a criminal.
And Nancy, of course, of News Nation. We're going to be bringing in Peter Tragos here momentarily. You can now use hashtag HeyJ. I'll ask our YouTube moderators to help us out. You can use hashtag HeyJB. You can also use hashtag lawyer you know. Let's bring in Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know. Peter, I think joining us on a little bit of vacation. I also came in from my vacation for this press conference, so you're not alone. Hold on, I think you're still connecting to audio.
I'm taken, completely taken and happy, but hello, lawyer. And Kyle would be okay with me saying that. I would say that with him right here. But I would tell him I'm going to say this and then forgive me afterwards. But hello, ladies. Now I see why you like him. Oh, the lawyer you know. Yeah. Hello. Hello, single ladies. I think we just found a spot we need to hang out more often for legal advice. Can I get an amen? Okay, let's continue on. Hopefully he's smart too.
On the Zoom call there. Nope. Okay. We'll come back to Peter here momentarily. Again, we're going to be able to ask Peter some of the legal questions that might be on your mind as far as the extradition process, because we now have really option A and option B as far as waiving extradition or having to initiate extradition. If he waives extradition, look, this is going to be a way more of a speedy process, but we have no idea as of right now, unless there's been news in the last several minutes, no news as to whether or not Kohberger has voluntarily waived his right to extradition. And what that means is he's basically saying, I'm allowing myself to be extradited from one state to the other to answer to charges in the state in which they have been filed. Let's see. Hopefully now, if we have Peter, Zoom is, it's Zoom.
I can hear you.
Peter Tragos, the lawyer, friend of the program here on WFLA Now and #KJB. Peter, thanks so much for joining us. Where are you joining us from? Are you skiing?
I'm up in the mountains here in North Carolina, so we're dealing with it the best we can. But I'm happy to be here, man. This is a wild spot to be in right now for the University of Idaho before they get the students back. The timing was, I think, something that they think was a major positive and a major benefit as far as the safety of the students and moving in the right direction in a case that a lot of people feared was going cold.
Peter, I don't want to, repeat a lot of these things if you know them already, but are you kind of up to speed?
Yes.
Okay. Because we have, of course, the first degree murder warrant. We have the felony burglary charge, which, we learned about from this press conference as well. We learned there's no.
Hey, everybody popping in for the first time here. Slightly Stacy. Shalom. Welcome in. We're just going over the stream and talking about it. Rebecca, right? He's not what I expected them to bring on, honestly. Not at all. But welcome in, everybody. L always the stuff that cracks me up.
Bond that he has made his first court appearance and that he can either waive or Idaho prosecutors are going to have to initiate extradition, and that there's a hearing for that on Tuesday. Let me just kind of welcome you in, and you can speak to whatever you have found to be most fascinating up to this point.
Yeah, to me, it's really interesting in this process. People are asking, how quickly do we think the process is going to get started? How quickly is he going to go to trial? Will there be cameras in the courtroom? Well, the first step really is this extradition process. And if he doesn't waive it and they have to initiate it at the prosecutor's office in Idaho, it could create a major delay in the case. And the most interesting thing I found from the press conference itself was how many times they continued to ask for tips and they continued to ask for more evidence and more information about this suspect, now potential criminal defendant that's going to be charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder plus burglary, like you said. And to me, the fact that they're asking for so many tips, admitting that they don't have the murder weapon, as a criminal defense lawyer looking at this, that could mean maybe they don't have enough evidence to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt and prove these crimes at this point, which is not unusual. They have to have enough evidence for a probable cause affidavit and an arrest warrant, which is a different burden than beyond a reasonable doubt. But to me, looking at this case, maybe they don't have everything they need just yet to convict him. And they're continuing to ask for tips, which I think is great for anybody that may know this guy. It seems like a buddy or an ex-girlfriend or something that knows anything about this guy personally saying, I follow him on Instagram. I text with him. He was telling me he was going to Idaho every other weekend to meet with some girl, whatever.
Personally, I do think he acted alone at this point in time. I don't know why I feel that. That's a personal opinion of mine. The evidence doesn't really show one way or another for what we factually know, what is factually known out there to anybody. There's a lot of, speculation going on, but I personally feel that he did act alone. Yeah, ladies, I think we found somebody to get new legal takes from. I think everybody's happy with that.
Whatever it may be, that's the type of stuff it seems like they're looking for to get more information about him personally.
Now, as far as representation, look, he has just been apprehended, and whether or not he is going to look, what are the options? The options are he has his own representation, a lawyer that represents him as far.
just to answer another question right quick, Mocus, yeah, he would probably not give us the time of day over here. I'm a tiny little speck. He'd be like, who the hell are you and what do you want? College student. He was attending the university or Washington State University, which is in Pullman, which is 10 miles away from the University of Idaho. So it's across the state line into Washington State. But yes, he already had a master's from DeSales, and he was a PhD student at the WSU in criminology. Was there any other questions? You guys all feel that he acted alone too. Doesn't anybody feel like there is potential that he had other people that helped him? Your gut feeling he acted alone too. Oh, Safari. Those eyes are just too creepy. Yep, I agree. Saucy. Right? You guys are goofy.
Far as now this upcoming extradition push, there's also him.
You know where we're gonna see him next? Molly Golightly's channel. Watch.
Being assigned a public defender, correct? Or look, 2022 has been an interesting year, and you know what I'm talking about as far as representing yourself. Are those the options that he has in front of him as far as now representation as this process plays out?
Private lawyer, he can hire whoever he wants, whoever he can afford. Public defender / court appointed lawyer, or representing himself. Those are his three options. It sounds like we have an interesting element of this case, like he's a criminology or criminal justice master's studying for his PhD. So does he have more knowledge than the average person about this? We will see. Highly educated guy, it seems like at this point. So we could learn a lot about this process. And there was interesting, I saw on the court docket that there was a denial for the motion to set bond. I don't know if somebody actually filed the motion or asked the court to set a bond, or if that was a decision they already made. It seems like he's already talking to a lawyer at this point. So we'll kind of see what happens in that process.
Yeah. And I'm sure that, look, family members trying to rally to get him to the best legal representation possible. Peter, you have a hat on your head, but I'm going to say you're going to put this figurative hat on your head. If you are his attorney, what is your advice?
I mean, yeah, my advice at this point, if I was representing this guy and he told me he didn't do it or whatever it may be, you're not saying anything. You're not doing anything. I would say I'm feeling like they don't have enough evidence to convict you at this point. The white Elantra they can prove was there. I don't really know what connection that has to the murder, as opposed to it was at a certain place in a certain time. That's not enough to convict somebody for murder, in my opinion. His DNA was at a house that all we heard was how there was DNA layered everywhere and how difficult it was in this case to get the DNA. Hundreds of students went in and out of that house. He could have just been one of the students from a university 20 minutes away that ended up at a party at this house. Like all of the other kids that were there. We saw the video of the noise complaint.
But my question on that, I mean, I know he's playing devil's advocate. I guarantee he's playing devil's advocate, and he's asked, if you were defending this guy, what would your take be? And he's saying exactly what a defense attorney should be saying. Absolutely. You're not saying anything. They don't have enough evidence, so on and so forth. And yes, I have a lot of attorney family members, but I would never call them up and ask them for their take on this because they'd laugh at me. But this is what a defense attorney should be saying. You know, don't talk. There's not enough evidence. This is what we should be hearing from somebody on the other side. There is, unfortunately, as much as we'd like to convict this guy already, there is a whole process that has to go. Yeah, there's definitely more than DNA. But at the same time, my question would be, okay, yes, parties at the house, frat house, sorority house, whatever, people in and out. But would his DNA be mixed with blood from the active crime scene? Like that would be something interesting of how to get over. Like if his DNA, or was it part of the blood? Yeah, they're asking him to play devil's advocate. He's not doing it because he thinks this. He is playing devil's advocate as far as stepping into the shoes of a defense attorney. Yeah. No, Gumby, I understand. Yeah, they have to be able to prove with beyond a reasonable doubt.
I don't know if you guys watched it on this channel, but there was a video of a noise complaint where none of the people that even lived at this house were there during that party. He could have been a kid at that party. We don't necessarily know how they're connecting the dots with this evidence or what his connection is to the victims yet. So at this point, we're doing nothing on the criminal defense side and seeing if they can gather enough evidence to actually prove that he was the one that committed these crimes. And did he commit them alone? That was an interesting question of the press conference that, in my opinion, the police officer said, yes, we think this is the only guy, without actually saying that, right? He didn't answer the question, but he did say, we got the guy that did this. The community should feel safe. We should still be vigilant, of course, about our surroundings and protecting ourselves. But at this point, we think we got the guy that did this.
Let's talk about extradition. Really big. And look, folks, hashtag HJB lawyer, you know, we are going to be getting to your questions and comments. And Peter, I'm going to try to keep you for 15 minutes. Am I getting greedy?
No, that's perfect.
All right, good. All right.
Oh, we've got 15 minutes with him. Elle, I love you. Elle's like, I just followed those accounts. Don't worry. That's what I want to know, Mocus. I want to see his arms and his hands. But would he have had enough time to heal? I guess depending on how deep the wounds would have been or cuts, because in my opinion, he would have had some sort of cuts. Hey, AP. I don't feel he's a pirate. I don't either. I think the whole was anyone else arrested? Blank. Yeah. Yeah. Could be cupcakes. When you talk to people, if they don't look you in the eyes, you do not trust them. I have a hard time. Depending on certain people, I can't look in the eyes because their eyes creep me out. That's what I was thinking. Healed, but depending on how deep and bad the injuries were, he should be healed, but might have a scar of some sort. But also, people that have been around him in that time frame might also have seen something too. So it's going to be really important for them to interview people around him or that know him, I'm assuming, or came in contact with him too, which is going to be hard to vet, especially with social media crazies getting a hold of them. That would be interesting to me.
Because look, vacation, I get it.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I know you and I are both in from some days off. As far as extradition, okay, this is a big key question now. Is there any reason for him to waive extradition? Is there any reason for him to say, sure, take me to Idaho? I mean, really, any attorney is going to say, look, we're going to do everything we can to fight extradition, correct?
I think if he hires a private attorney, there's a 100% chance he fights extradition.
Yep.
If it's a public defender, I think it's more 50-50.
Okay. And reason being is because, look, a public defender is not going to put up that much of a fight and not going to pursue every avenue possible to avoid extradition. Is that correct?
It really depends, right? And what do they know about it? And if it's a public defender in Pennsylvania versus Idaho, are they going to want to fight it to use tax dollars to keep him there? There's a lot of different dynamics if it's a public defender in this situation than if it's a private.
Sorry, I had to pause it for a second, but that is very interesting right there. Yeah. Has he been around people or was he out in the sticks? Very good question. Another thing. So if he gets a public defender in Pennsylvania, it will not be the same public defender in Idaho because chances are very unlikely that they're able to practice in both states or on, both state bar. So doubtful that it'll be the same. So then you'd be looking at two public defenders, correct? How's that work? So his best bet would be private attorney. And I'm assuming he might already have one. And that might be why the court halted the remediation. Talkative and friendly. But if his DNA is under one of the victim's nails, it wouldn't matter if he has marks or scars. Lisa, exactly. That's what I'm hoping is when they said that there was defensive wounds, I'm hoping that maybe one of them got DNA under their fingernails. Just Natalie, that's a great question. I don't know if we'll get that answer. functions. That's my initial gut feeling of this too. That's what I've thought. Hey, Tracy. Hope you're doing well. He himself will never waive. I don't know. I don't know. I almost kind of feel like he wants the spotlight. And yes, dragging it out would give him more spotlight. Have we learned anything? Has anybody learned anything about his family yet? Or potential family? Has anybody seen anything on that? That would be interesting to hear what's going on there.
Private attorney, but a private attorney, I think, would fight extradition, delay the process, make them prove every single thing throughout this entire process.
Let's get to some of the questions that are coming in, and I just had one and I lost it. Everybody, you can use hashtag AJB or hashtag lawyer. Brian wants to know: would an attorney allow the extradition to be waived, or would an attorney fight it and make it difficult? And so you just kind of answered that, Peter. But
some would waive it. I mean, waiving it is not saying he did it. Waiving
right.
it is not.
It's not an admission of guilt.
Rolling over. Yeah.
Okay. Bree says, look, he may decide to represent himself in court. Look, that's look, and this answer might have been answered already, or to me, this question might have been answered already as far as his representation. So, how about this question? Alan says his parents probably have information. Peter, I can only imagine what this is like for his inner circle now. I mean, you think that you just, have a student who's, got a master's degree and now studying for his PhD in criminology. And you're thinking, my goodness, how wonderful it is that we have a son who's working on these degrees and likely has a long, lengthy career and, in criminal.
All right. I got to ask you guys. I got to ask y'all. Please tell me what you think. Only seen. Hold on. Let me go back up here and read your comments first. Well, actually, let me ask you guys this first. But do you think 100%, and I know this is going to be a very wide answer, but I just want your opinion based on what we know so far, and I know everybody knows varying things. Do you feel like his parents didn't have some sort of sign at some point in time that this gentleman was not stable? I've seen so many varying things about people like this that, like, for instance, Duncan, people thought he was completely normal, completely stable, not capable of any of this stuff. Professors, like people with high standing in communities, vouched for this man, the Joseph Edward Duncan, and he has been convicted of multiple murders and then confessed to more after the fact, some he wasn't even charged with. So, and people around him said no inclination that anything was wrong. What do you think? Do you think people around them had an inclination, or do you feel they don't? I'm really interested to see what you guys think. His sister works in mental health. Yes, I've seen that too, but no confirmation that there's potential links to that. Well, wait, we should be able to find that out in 2 seconds. The address of the house has to be who's paying property taxes. The owner, that's registered. You should be able to see that public record. That should be easy to confirm. I can do that when I get off here. 50-50 with the parents. Me too. That's what it's so weird because some people always tend to say that there's always signs, And then other people say that never, ever would have guessed. Yeah, Tallulah, that's how I feel too. I tend to think, like in my own personal feelings, like how I pay attention to my kids, that I would venture to know something because I'm like the helicopter mom that I have to be, and I'm in their space, but they're little. This is a grown man who's been out of the home, so chances are, who we don't know the disconnect at the family, if they're close. I mean, there's so many things. And most parents always go into denial. We saw that with the laundries, and I think it's just normal. Like, that's normal to me. No parent wants to believe it's theirs. Mom thinking he takes after his dad. There could be. I don't believe with Dahmer that his parents didn't have a clue, to be honest. I've never felt that. In fact, yeah, but there was signs there too, Lisa. His girlfriend even reported him. But he's an older, he's been out of the house, he's been in college away from, so I guess it would say family dynamics play a huge part. I agree with that, Pirate. I would definitely agree with that. Gumby, I agree with that too. So just depending on their family dynamics. Okay. Just Natalie, I feel that I would know too. Yeah, I feel that Dahmer's parents definitely knew more than they let on to be. And I think that's why his brother changed his name and went into hiding for years and has continued to maintain that. I think there's definitely more to that. But that's just my own personal thoughts.
Justice or in law enforcement ahead of him. So the shock and awe of this for those in his inner circle, starting with his parents and his loved ones, I would imagine it's got to be crippling for them, correct?
Yeah, and this isn't a DUI accident or a hit and run or something like that. That's horrible, a horrible mistake, an accident, a bad decision that somebody made that you can understand how they got there. This is a brutal crime he's being accused of and now arrested for. They're not going to want to believe that he did it. They are not the people that I would assume are going to be calling and giving tips, his inner circle. It's going to be more of, yeah, I went to undergrad with this guy and this is how he was, or I lived next door to him, or whatever it may be. Those are the kind of tips that they're expecting, not from his inner circle. It's got to be brutal for them. I assume they don't believe he did it and they're doing everything they can to help him.
Nick Rose with a good question. #KJB. Can they make a federal case? Or I'll jump off of this. Is this a federal case already? We're talking about multiple states here, including really at the center of this Idaho and now Pennsylvania. So when does this become a federal case?
I expect that it's going to be a state case. I think that's kind of the trajectory it's been going the entire time. They could make it a federal case under a couple different statutes if they wanted to, but I expect this to stay in state court. And I think it's more appropriate in state court with how it's kind of gone, and we'll kind of see it follow more of a trajectory that we've seen a lot of these similar cases happen in state court.
Let's go to Southern Mama. I like this question. #HeyJB saying, came from the lawyer, channel. Man, it's always great to have our, people that follow us here, WFLA, and people that follow you. We look, everyone intermingles. We make new friends.
Exactly.
It's welcome to the streaming space where I absolutely love to meet new people.
This lady's new, obviously. Will they choose the best from the DA office for this because it is so big? Do you understand how little that area is? I don't know how many DAs are in the office. Well, how many people are in the DA's office? It's going to be the entire DA's office working on this together. In my opinion, it's a small area. Pirate, that definitely could be. One of the Columbine killer's mom wrote a really good book. She was clueless. Revival. I honestly, I'm split on that because I think there's so much potential for people to hide stuff. I've lived with people that have hid things from me right under my nose. And so I always second guess my own gut instincts too. Lisa, I can see that. Yeah, Mocus, now people are going to be taking inventory of interactions that they've had with this gentleman over the past. And some will make things out of nothing and others will be like, oh, there was this one time. It's really sad. It's really sad because you have 4 families that are struggling, and the ripple effect from that on top of it. Now you've got another family. And at the same time, like his parents, I'm sure had no clue at the end of the day. They had nobody means as a parent to raise a child like this. And are we going to see them go out in front of their house and protest now? I hope to God not, but nothing would shock me anymore.
Including Peter and so many others. You guys are like a power team. Very nice. Will they choose the best from the DA's office for this because it is it is so big. I don't know exactly what Southern Mama means here, but choosing the best attorney.
The best DA.
Yeah,
the best prosecutor they have. Absolutely. That would be my guess, is that they're going to pick the best person for this job. It could even creep into the special prosecutor discussion. If there's somebody they feel like they need to go get, maybe like we said, from the U.S. Attorney's Office, the local U.S. Attorney's Office, they're a federal prosecutor, whatever it may be, they're going to put the best they have on this job. Somebody asked me on my stream, like, small town, do they really have good lawyers? Yes, there are good lawyers in small towns and there are bad lawyers in big towns. But they need the best person for this job. And I think that's what they're going to be looking for.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, bringing in a special prosecutor for this. I wouldn't doubt that that is done to help on this case. Because there is, if I'm correct of who it would be, I need to do some research on that. Yeah, Marcy, me too. They send it to the state's attorney general. Yeah, Rebecca agreed. Yeah, Angel, they probably did. You know, it's sad. It's really sad. This affects so many more people than just the ripple effect from these tragedies is horrible.
But lawyers are generally confident in their abilities. So I'm willing to bet that the lawyers in this DA's office think they can handle this case, and I hope they can.
Larissa Budzinski, excuse me. Hashtag hey JB. Do you think his background in criminology is why they're keeping everything close to the vest, or maybe because it'll be easier as far as jury selection? Excuse me. I have a response to this, but Peter, why don't you go first?
So I don't think his degree has anything to do with what law enforcement's doing in this case. I think they're keeping it close to the vest because they knew he ran and they were trying not to allow it to. I think they've been following that white Elantra with CCTV videos, with gas station videos, with tips and things like that. And I didn't think they wanted to make it any easier for him to try to hide, to try to escape, to try to get rid of evidence, whatever it may be. That's why I think they were playing it closer to the vest, personally speaking, but I don't know that answer.
Yeah, and I'll just say that it is so common practice for these press conferences and for the aftermath of a massive arrest that kind of permeates, goes from just, you know, local news to really everybody knows news. It's so commonplace for there to be, you know, so just really almost zero information as to how somebody was apprehended for a crime. This is really the status quo. This is really the playbook, the textbook, if you will, for how investigators go about this when it comes to releasing information to the media. So look, that arrest affidavit, Peter, it's going to come out. It's going to tell us a whole lot. And I'm sure that we'll be on our respective live streams when it comes to breaking it down and everything that we know, because that will become, as you know, Peter, will become public record at some point. And really, but the next step is this January 3rd extradition, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't realize the date on Tuesday. Okay, well, we'll be covering that if it's broadcast. I don't know if they're going to allow cameras or not, but it'll have high media coverage. I'm going to read your guys' comments right quick and check up. Hope, agreed. Yeah, high profile case, small town, special prosecutor. Right, Elle? Exactly. Why aren't they down there? Yeah, Lisa, it'll be interesting to find out all of the ins and outs. It really will be interesting. Yeah, Denise, we caught that earlier. She was also, when they panned over, we caught her outside the house, and I was like, that's Betty right there. Yeah, this will be a big case. Well, depending on who it is, though, because there are some prosecutors out there that have handled some insane cases. I could pull some cases from up there that you guys have probably never heard of. Just like this Joseph, the Duncan. If you haven't heard of that case, look into it. It is insanity to learn about that man. Tallulah agreed. I have been too. I think jury selection is going to be very difficult because it's such a small area. Yeah, could they move this to an area of Idaho with a bigger population? They could, but I don't know how that all works. I don't know statutes of like moving, how you get something moved. They would have a pretty I don't know. Change of venue, but what would qualify it to Natalie? Yeah, I unfortunately do feel that way. There will be a change of venue. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Our host still, yes, Betty is still in Idaho. You think that's what's happening in the Delphi case? I'm trying to think of where they would move it to, though. Boise would be the biggest area for them to move it to. I mean, they could move it to Coeur d'Alene, the hometown or the home area of those. But that, in my opinion, they could move it to Pocatello or Idaho Falls. I don't know. That's why I wonder if they're not going to move it to a federal case, to be honest. Oh, functions. I wonder if he follows her too. Angel, I don't know the difference in that. Yeah, ENZ, that's what I was thinking. That's where they moved. That's Boise. I don't know. Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell is there. That case got moved there, so they could do that. I just don't know. Yeah, I can see a change of venue, but it would be, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It really will. I don't know enough about all of that to have answers, to be honest. That's where I really don't know. Like I said, I've never. What would qualify it to be a federal case? The multiple states, depending on if this was a stalker situation and he had been following them previously, and they can prove that after the fact, because that would be multiple states. Because he lived in Washington, was attending school in Washington, and the girls were 10 minutes the other direction into Idaho. I don't know if that would qualify, though. He could plead guilty, of course. I don't feel that's going to happen. Crossing state lines to murder them, yeah, because his home state and his office and everything is in. Huh. Yeah, Marcy, it's going to be tricky for them to find out. But he didn't transfer victims across state lines. True. They would have to be able to, I don't know, in order to make it a federal case. Does anybody know what they would need to prove to make it federal? I don't know enough about that to know. Honestly, that's the truth. Him running back to Pennsylvania, would that be more problematic after committing the murder? The Israel Keys case. I know nothing about that case. He didn't move them across state lines. It'll be interesting to find out if he had any interaction with them previous to this. I don't see him pleading guilty at all. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to know what, because Peter said there's a couple ways to make it federal, but he doesn't feel that it will. He feels that it's going to be a state case. So I'm curious to know what statutes, and he said there was a couple statutes that would qualify to move it. I'm wondering if he's gone into more of that himself on his page, or if he will. I don't know. Previous interaction or not will definitely matter. Yeah, interesting. Okay, we're all kind of in the air on that. We'll have to look into that. When you guys find out more, let me know, because you guys will always, I'm sure you guys will be on it and hear it all. So definitely let me know if you guys hear more on that, like what would make it federal. Another crime in the area or other states, that is possible. Maybe if you, oh, I do not see this becoming a federal case unless there has been crimes and he committed along the way. Thank you. Maybe if you plan it in one state, then commit the crime in another, it would make federal. I don't know. A crime is federal when it violates the United States federal legal codes or when the individual carries a criminal activity over multiple. So well, depending on the previous, I guess. Drug trafficking, the law enforcement agencies will investigate the matter and issue charges for the person accused illegally. Yeah, so this wouldn't be federal at this state right now. With knowing what we know now, this would not fit federal. Hope, right? Right. Yeah, just Natalie, I don't see that happening at all. Huh, that's interesting. That'll be interesting to find out what the involvement before was. Yeah, pirate, I agree right there. It'll be really interesting to find out. And previous crimes, like, is there a previous record? Does he have a previous record? Has anybody heard yet? I'm assuming he does not have a previous record at all. And the reason why I say that, and again, it's an assumption, but because of his achievements and having a master's and so on and so forth, it seems like he was pretty concentrated on his education. Not saying that he doesn't have a record, but I don't think he does. Okay. Nothing so far has turned up. Thank you. Okay. Has any multi-state killer been charged federally? Lisa, I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, let's go back to this. You don't think it's his first crime? If he carried the weapon over state line, I believe that would be federal. But how would that be federal? Because he committed the crime in another state. He wouldn't be still committing a crime, returning home and having the weapon on him, would it? Because the crime was committed in the other state, so it would still be state, not federal, right? Or am I overlooking that? Yeah, Hope, I would think, and they've dug through everything by this point. I would assume he would have something out there. And juvie records are sealed, right? Huh. Okay, let's go back to this. A lot of questions I have. Yeah, pirate, there's a lot of possibilities here.
Yeah, that's the next big step is extradition. When we get over that hurdle, then stuff's going to start happening. We're going to start learning a lot more. And I liked what basically everybody said is you're going to get the facts. You're going to get the truth from court. So come to court, watch the court streams, look at the court docket. That's where you're going to get your facts, not from anybody individually. So I think that's good. I think that's the cleanest and best way to do it.
Lydia, #HJB, do you think that if DNA evidence was used, they got a hit in CODIS? Or do you think that they are getting or got a warrant for his DNA/fingerprints? You know, how the DNA evidence comes into play is a fascinating thing. CNN, again, reporting, and I'm sure that others have spoken to the same sources at this point. But that there is a DNA break in this case, a forensic examination of evidence at the scene that matches Kohberger. So as far as whether or not they got a hit or whether or not there were alternative means to match the DNA, look, that is likely at the center of this as far as them being able to proceed with an arrest and
Okay, so here's my thoughts on that. And tell me if I'm wrong. Again, you guys can tell me your thoughts and opinions, please do in the comments, because I'm not good with this kind of stuff. But a DNA match in CODIS, I don't think his DNA would be in CODIS. So my assumption is that they had him as a person of interest, got a warrant, were able to collect some sort of evidence, maybe without his knowledge, and test it that way. Can that happen? Or do they have to notify him before processing his DNA? if he's not in CODIS? Can they get somebody's DNA without them knowing if they had a warrant? And would that warrant be public information, or could that be a part of the probable cause affidavit? I guess it depends on how long they... Oh, this is a lot. Only if the weapon was federally banned. Huh, this is crazy. There's a lot of questions. Oh, there's the dog again. He crossed state lines to commit a crime, thinking convenient federal. Let's see the statutes that Peter was talking about that makes it federal. Ah, Jose. Okay. Thank you. Medic testing. Yes, that can happen. Yinzi, I thought so. You can get it without a warrant even. Okay, that's Revival. They do it all the time on TV. Yes. I thought so, Hopes. I've always felt that they have ways of getting DNA. I know that for a fact that they do. I truly do. I know some feds. Actually, feds in Idaho. And Montana. Okay, so let's say he was at a restaurant and he was drinking a soda can. They can go up, say he leaves the table and leaves it sitting there. It's trash, so they can go and grab it. No questions asked. Gotcha. They're getting DNA. Okay, perfect. I gotta let the dog in. I'm gonna continue this.
And proceed with filing these charges, right, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to all have to be proven that it was done above board and done appropriately. Somebody on my stream said they read a report that they got his fingerprints in the system because he was fingerprinted for a security job, which would kind of go in line with criminology or criminal justice major. So that's a potential way that can happen. I've done videos on my channel about how you can waive these rights without even knowing it. When you get certain jobs, when you go TSA pre-check, when you do certain things and you give your fingerprints out, they can then use them in situations like this. So he could have done any number of things to make his fingerprints basically have public access from law enforcement.
Some individuals out there are within a database for DNA or fingerprints. Others are not, but that's a very, very interesting point. I just had a great oh, here it is. Destiny wants to know, #KJB, in this case, do you think a conviction is riding on the murder weapon? They don't, Peter, they don't have the murder weapon. So how much of a focal point is that for the investigation now?
I think it's going to be a major focal point for the defense in this case. But I do not think that it's riding on the murder weapon. I think there have been plenty of cases where they have convicted defendants without murder weapons. It's a much higher percentage of conviction than the no body, no crime saying. That's a much more difficult situation if they don't have the victim's body in a case where there is a murder that they're trying to prove. That's a much more difficult situation, a lower percentage of conviction rate. When you talk about no murder weapon, I think they can still get it done without that. But it does seem like they are looking for more evidence and looking for more tips to get enough, to stack enough, to put this puzzle together, to have enough evidence to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Let's point out the incredibly obvious, if we will, for just a second. There's a period of about 6.5 weeks between November 13th and his apprehension here in the end of December. As far as that murder weapon and the fact that let's remind our audience, he's got a master's degree in criminal justice. He was studying to get his PhD in criminology from Washington State University. Anybody with half a brain, Peter, is not going to hold on to that murder weapon for very long. And with countless states, not countless, but a lot of states between Idaho and Pennsylvania.
I feel like I should be a guest on JB. I'm just joking, totally joking again, but JB's in my head because I said the same thing think about how many states and if the car had GPS, like JB's in my head. This is why I like this dude, because he gets it. He asks all the questions that I always think of too. I'm like, oh, good one. Yeah, everything is a focal point. The titled attorney. Facts on facts on facts. State prison over federal. I know people that are in prison in Idaho, state prison in Idaho. It's nothing compared to a lot of other places, I'm sure. Yes, curious. We all admired him when he first came on. I was like, I know I'm taking all this stuff, but I would say it in front of Kyle. But this attorney is definitely decent looking. Yeah, we've all talked about how adorable he was. The ladies have decided that he is our new legal advocate over here, our legal beagle. We get to listen to him if we need legal advice.
Pennsylvania, and all of that time, there is just a myriad of endless ways for him to dispose of that murder weapon if it is in fact if Kohberger is in fact the person that did this crime, correct?
So it's more surprising, based on exactly what you just said, that he still had the same car.
Right.
That he
That's, I
didn't
was thinking the same exact thing, and I'm sure you and I were going to talk about this off stream, but I was shocked that if the car is in fact the car, the fact that the car wasn't disposed of or left at the bottom of a lake or something like that, that interesting. That no.
Well, not just that, but again, putting the criminal defense attorney hat on. How many thousands of white Elantras in 2013 did they say they looked through? So if that's your big connection, and that's how you're going to prove that he did it with no murder weapon, then I'm going to say, yeah, this guy's got a PhD in criminology. So they're going to say, oh, he disposed of the weapon. He knew to do that. JB's talking about how obvious that is. Obviously, he's going to do that, but he's not going to get rid of the car.
Right.
He didn't get rid of the car because he didn't do it. And he didn't do it because there's a million white Elantras. That's the arguments they're going to make. Those are the types of arguments they're going to make. It's thousands of Elantras. This guy's in Pennsylvania, and they think he did it. We'll see if there's black box data. There's all sorts of things they can get there to prove that it actually is the car. But
see, we need these guys. The Tessas, us Tessas, need to tell these guys to get out of our heads because they're talking about stuff we already talked about, boys. I'm just joking. We're way behind. They were probably talking about this at the same time. We're just messing around, but this is wild how we were just talking. We talked a lot about the black box data from the car. Safari said she thinks, or I don't know, Safari gender. I probably misgendered again. Safari said that knowledge, possibly a year that this information gets stored. If the upgrade was on this car, it's an available package, not necessarily that it's there, but that would be interesting. That'll be really interesting to find out. Okay, sorry, I didn't want to. I never know, and I try not to assume, and I just totally did. So I do it all the time. Weapon is not needed. DNA will do. Yeah, I don't think the weapon thing, but I agree with these guys. The fact that the car was kept, I don't know. Do I think, that Idaho is holding a lot? Obviously, yes.
But again, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle still that we're going to see if law enforcement and the prosecutors can put together.
Because if he disposes of the Elantra and it's found by somebody, then the immediate question is who owned this Elantra. It points them to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and it points to a potential suspect. But it must be fascinating. That if you are in Pennsylvania, if you're in Pennsylvania and you're watching all of this news unfold and you hear the detail, you hear the media reports about them looking for a white Elantra, and you
would never think it's your neighbor that drives the white Elantra. You'd never think it's the one parked right here. Like, I'm in North Carolina. If I saw a white Elantra parked right there, I'd be like, no way, that couldn't possibly. I'm 2,500 miles away from Idaho.
But Peter, if you're Kohberger, I get what you're saying. If you're Kohberger, though, you have two options. You either hold on to the car or you dispose of it. And really between those two options, you have, look, you just kind of laid it out perfectly as to the mindset of what you do in this given situation. So the fact that he had the car is interesting. And again, we have to remind people if it is the car, because we've heard from law enforcement, they say that they have an Elantra, not the Elantra, and there's a big difference. Peter, I have kept you your 15 minutes. I really appreciate you joining us. Yeah, we're Peter's Peter, you were sitting right here next to me a few weeks ago, counting down the top 5 court cases of 2022. It is always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend, and pick your brain and talk to you about our legal system here in this country. Before I let you go, I know you're going to be doing a whole lot more with this on your respective channel. What can folks look forward to, and how can they follow you?
Yeah, the lighting was a lot better there, JB. I'm sitting next to the window, and it went from light to dark on me while we were talking about this case. So sorry for everybody that can't really see. Yeah, Lawyer You Know is my YouTube channel. I'm a personal injury lawyer in Tampa, Florida. My firm also practices criminal defense as well. We've handled a lot of cases that deal with issues that we're going to be dealing with in.
Well, shit. He's in Florida. Who's in Florida getting in a car accident and hiring him? Who's up next? Yeah, L, there you go. We just figured it out. No, he did not dress as Captain Jack. That's hysterical. I didn't know that. This is my first time ever experiencing anything that he said. I didn't know he had a channel or anything even. Yeah, probably. Safari, probably.
In this case. So one of the things we do on our channel is we break down this legal process to help everybody understand what their rights are, understand the civil and criminal justice system a little bit better from a lawyer's perspective. It's not a whodunit channel. We're not reporters. We're not journalists. We're not investigators. So we break it down purely from the legal angle. We're going to be talking extradition. We're going to be talking probable cause. We're going to be talking evidence gathering. We're going to be talking proven cases like this on our channel. And I'm happy to come on with JB anytime and talk about this stuff. It's always interesting and thoughtful discussion on this channel that I really enjoy. And everybody that watches my channel, I tell them to come over here and check this out as well, because it's a different angle and you can learn a lot from different kinds of channels coming together.
Yeah, and likewise, Peter, I try to send people your way because again, there's endless questions when we talk about stories like this, and questions that really get into the intricacies of each individual jurisdiction's legal system. Talking about how Pennsylvania is different from Florida, or how Idaho is different from Pennsylvania, and being able to hear your expertise. Everybody, folks, give a follow over to Peter's channel, The Lawyer You Know. If you've been with us here on WFLA Now before, you've been with him. He's a friend of the program and friend of mine. Peter, great to have you, and go back and enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Yeah, you too, pal. We'll talk soon.
See you, man.
All right, back here with you live on stream. We're going to spend another few minutes wrapping things up here, everybody, because we've been going now for approximately 2.5 hours. And what we'll do is we'll stay on stream for another 2 or so, a few minutes, and we'll talk to you guys. Let's just kind of have an informal sort of chat. Oh, no. What is that?
All right. We got it. Yes, sub up to his channel. I'm gonna go sub up to it run as fast as you can. You guys are funny. All right, we got through what they basically talked about. Your guys' final thoughts. There's a lot out there. My pies just got here. I'm opening them. You guys want to see them? Oh, this is making me happy right now. Let's take him off the screen. I don't even think I'm going to eat dinner. I think I'm just going to eat these. And I'm going to hide them from the kids. Yeah, I saw his wedding ring too. He's golfing in the mountains this week. He was very easy to listen to and understand. Oh, Safari. They look really good. I'm going to show you guys, okay? It must just be a local place here. I don't know. It's called the Flake Pie Company. I'm so excited about this banana cream pie one. Hey, Saucy, I'm just saying. That's the apple one. Oh, other way. Apples. Ah! There it goes. Don't do that nonsense. Oh, look at it. It didn't even do anything. Ta-da! I knew I was going to do that too. Oh, I'm going to have to eat the whipped cream though. That's the only thing that got messed up was the whipped cream on this one. Hold on. Let me show you. Because I just messed up the side. Hold on. That one went down. That's the only thing. That's the key lime. Your heart stopped. It was just whipped cream that got it on my nail. Oh. Oh gosh, you guys, they're so good. Scrambled thighs. They're still edible. Oh, yes. South Jordan. That's where they're at, is South Jordan. I don't want to lick my nail, but I did that when oh, I'm so excited. That was way scary. You guys are all scary. It's just pie, y'all. It's just pie. It's pie. And it's just on my cover on my computer. It's just whipped cream. But tell me those don't look good. Look at that again. Kyle will steal this one. Look at that little guy. They're just babies, but oh my gosh, they're so good. The banana cream pie one. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. That was scary. You guys were scared for me. Now you guys, yeah. See, I'm bad. I won't eat on camera though. I won't eat on camera. I'm not going to do a taste test thing. I've got whipped cream on my fingers. I'm not even licking it. It touched my desk and my computer, and it was just the whipped cream, and the whipped cream's still there, everybody. We're okay. It's my birthday coming up. I can eat smashed pie if I want to, and I can cry. Scared for the pies. You guys are great. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this whole time. I really hope that at the end of the day, like, these families get some justice no matter what happens. I can't even imagine being in their shoes. I absolutely, crumble cookies. Did you know that there's 2 battling cookie companies here? Like, major battling, they're suing each other even. Yeah. It's like a huge cookie war thing. Oh, I look lovely today. This camera and me do not get along. My face is not this. Like, this camera right here on StreamYard adds so much weight. Well, it makes you look, the phone doesn't. I don't know why. It elongates me or something. I don't know. Just how I look anyways. 5-minute rule. Yes. It's the third. It's the third Cookie Monster. I'm not a big sweet eater at all. Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's just another day. It's just another day. It's nothing important. The MGL filters. Marcy, is there filters on StreamYard? I don't even know. Oh, Yinzy, they're so sweet. They're so much. They're really heavy. They are super heavy. Gumby, are you gluten-free? I figured with celiac, yeah. I'm not supposed to eat it. I don't know. It's been so confusing. They say I have it, and I don't know. But I deal with it. I got my gallbladder out the other year ago. I'm good. I eat whatever. I know it has nothing to do with it, but I'm traumatized, honestly traumatized seeing and hearing Molly and food. Oh my God, me too. Me too. Yes, please open a bakery. I hate baking. I absolutely hate baking. Your birthday's 11th. There's a lot of us Capricorns. All right, y'all. I have been live for 3.5 hours. This is extremely long for me. I don't either. I don't care about filters. I don't give a shit. I don't need filters. It's just me. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. I need to go eat this crap and pie though before I decide that I'm going to share with the kids. Maybe I should just hide out in the room. I should have brought a fork up here and hid out in my room. They would never even know. They're playing on their iPads. They would have no clue. And yes, as a mom, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to take a pie and hide in a closet and not share. I say you're allowed. Right, Elle? Don't share. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. As we find out more, we'll talk about it more. I'm going to work on my clip channel reviews for tomorrow. And then we will do just Natalie. My mom was a cake decorator my entire childhood. That's what she did on the farm. I have like all of her Wilton Bumblebee, strawberry shortcake, all of those weird pans, Yosemite Sam. I have all of them from like the 80s of hers because she was a cake decorator too. And Capricorn, yay. Yeah, right, Marcy? I know. I eat cheesecake in the bathtub. Hey, Elle, I like that idea. All right, y'all. Have a great night. I will see you guys tomorrow. I know tomorrow's Saturday, but we're going to do some clip channel fun and give appreciation to these clip channels that don't get enough. So with that said, good night. Thank you all for hanging out with me during this. Again, my sympathy and condolences, of course, go to the families this has affected so greatly and all the other people that social media has gone after and made victims of this tragedy too. There's been so many of them. So I know that this lightens a little bit and hopefully is the process towards some sort of justice for these families, but nothing will replace this. And it is the holidays. So if I don't see you guys tomorrow, I will see you after the new year. Happy New Year and be safe. Please do not drink and drive. Have a good night.